Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Man, things are just going great for the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome, Maggie and Perloff Show. Maggie is out for one more day, a little well-earned vacation. Andrew Bogusch is sitting in. I know what Maggie would have said if she read last night's news report from Adam Schefter that star receiver CeeDee Lamb will not report to camp today because he wants a new deal. I presumably wants a new deal to match Justin Jefferson, the Vikings receiver, around $35 million, amongst the highest paid wide receivers. It is, in a sense, chaos in Dallas. They have not signed Dak Prescott. They have not signed CeeDee Lamb. They have not re-signed Micah Parsons. They have their coach with one more year left on his contract. Either it's they don't know what they're doing, or they are legitimately rebuilding in the sense that they're going to see what happens this year and then start over next year, which is a way to approach this if Dallas, because we know that the trio of Parsons, Lamb, and Prescott has not won anything. So at least there's logic there. But I think most people think they should have paid CD earlier in the offseason, and the price just keeps going up. And there is a sense that the Dallas Cowboys don't know exactly what they're doing. Andrew Bogusch, what do you think?
I think the Cowboys don't know what they're doing. That's why they're the Cowboys. You didn't mention in this litany of current chaos that the training camp opening press conference starring Jerry Jones had to be pushed back a couple of days because he's still in court over this paternity suit from a grown woman. There's just, whether it's football or non-football, there's just always too much going on around them, which is why they are perennial underachievers.
Yeah, but they had more going around them in the 90s than any team in the history of the world. Like that team, the 90s Cowboys, had so much off-field trouble, you can't even begin to describe it. They never would have fit with today's world where there's cameras everywhere, and they won Super Bowls. So I'm not sure distractions alone, those kind of distractions are going to keep the Cowboys from winning. There seems to be something else.
So maybe the distractions are coupled with players who are not good enough to make up for the distractions, but the distractions are there, and maybe it's preventing some of the players from being as good as they're supposed to be. I firmly believe that the Cowboys will never be Super Bowl winners while Jerry Jones is in charge of them.
But are holdouts the I mean, listen, Chris Jones held out of the Chiefs last year. The Niners have a bunch of holdouts. Bosa held out. Lots of guys hold out in the Niners. I'm not a big believer that a holdout is going to cost your team long term. Like a few days of training camp, it really doesn't mean much.
No, I don't think that this is a big deal for CeeDee Lamb right now. And with Justin Jefferson done, the kind of structure is there to figure out what his deal is going to be in Dallas. And I assume that they'll get there, but it's just another thing. Yes, the Niners have had holdouts, but they've had one holdout per year. Now, the Cowboys don't have 3 holdouts, but they have 3 huge payment questions right now about their 3 best players in Dak and CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons. And I don't know how often that happens, plus a pseudo lame duck head coach. But it's never quiet. It's never simple. It's never smooth. It's never uncomplicated. And that has to somewhere along the way mess things up.
Okay, counter argument. Maybe things should be uncomfortable in Dallas. I mean, Mike McCarthy has gone 12-5, 3 straight years. He's not shown me enough to commit to long term. They got blown out at home in the playoffs last year. That in the wild card game against Green Bay, they were down 27-0 after seemingly 3 minutes of the game. So McCarthy, I have my questions about. Dak, because of that game, I have some questions about. CeeDee Lamb came up incredibly small in that game, and to the point where him and Dak were yelling at each other. Yeah. McCarthy had to go over and comfort him. I was just looking at his numbers. He had 2 catches in the first half on 7 targets. The defense knew that Dak wanted to throw to CeeDee Lamb and took full advantage of that, something we've seen before. Then they have not really – they signed Brandon Cooks. He's not really a distracting threat to the defense. They're not worried about Brandon Cooks. So everyone knows come crunch time it's going to CD. So that's not really working. Maybe they should rebuild. Maybe they should move on from Dak. Maybe they should move on from CeeDee Lamb and not pay him $35 million. Micah, they got to keep. That guy's ridiculous. He's the unique athlete. You keep Micah Parsons, but I think there is a logic that the Cowboys are using that maybe we want to see what happens this year and rebuild.
So instead of this being, chaos and incompetence or whatever, if that is the plan, if this truly is hey, everybody's on alert and either we do this and we succeed tremendously or we're starting from scratch, if that's the official plan in Dallas, sign me up for it, because there's a lot of logic in the idea that this entire group has kind of run its course and they need a facelift. They almost need a tear down to start from scratch. They need to get a new head coach and maybe don't pay Dak Prescott $60 million a year. Now, it's hard. It's going to be hard to find a quarterback that's as good as him, but there is some logic in just doing it over again from the beginning. But I don't know if that is exactly what's going on here, because they're the Cowboys and logic is not necessarily the driving force in Dallas most of the time.
Let's be honest, too. Jerry Jones is in his 80s. He does not have time for a full rebuild.
Yeah.
And if any owner wants to be there for the rebuild, it's Jerry. He wants his hands in every part of this. You mentioned he's going to be late to Oxnard this year because he's dealing with a court case. There is a bit of chaos. I just worry if the Cowboys did resign, and this might happen, by the way. They might re-sign Dak this summer, say $60 million a year, make him the highest paid quarterback. They might re-sign CeeDee Lamb, and then at some point Parsons. If you're a Cowboys fan, you have to say to yourself, what's different? What's going to be different? I think the reason that they can't get over the top since they fired Jimmy Johnson is Jerry Jones. There's something about the ownership structure. He's just too involved. Like, there's organizational dysfunction. I had a friend in the league who said, there's no way Jerry Jones is ever going to win a Super Bowl because he just doesn't do it the right way.
I just said it.
Yes, there's another friend.
So you've got two friends in the league.
A friend who is very close to Jerry Jones was like, oh, this is never going to get over the top. There's something structural. It's been almost 30 years since we've seen it work out at the highest level. They haven't been to a conference championship game since the last Super Bowl run under Barry Switzer. So in this situation, everyone is saying the sky is falling, but CeeDee Lamb's not reporting. He's not on the plane to California. Dak is 1 year and done. Maybe the sky should be falling. I just think that maybe Dallas is smart like a fox here, and they should play some hardball. They just re-sign these three guys, come out, have a good regular season, and then somebody runs all over them in the playoffs.
Right.
And they have Ezekiel Elliott is their running back. They don't really have a run game or the ability. They haven't proved they can stop the run either. I'm not really worried about Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. I'm worried that teams have figured out Dallas.
Yeah, or Dallas hasn't figured out Dallas, and that makes them easy to beat or like easy to embarrass, whether the final score has been ugly or a season ends with Ezekiel Elliott playing center for some reason on the final play, like randomly to figure something. So they're just, again, like it's always like TMZ level stuff in Dallas. It's never just like, we're bad, so we didn't win, or we had a bad day, or what. Like, there's always an added degree of embarrassment to how their seasons have ended recently.
I'm not sure I agree with that. TMZ, when I think of TMZ, I think of guys getting arrested and. Well, I mean, Dak Prescott.
Just that it's not just simple football.
I hear you.
Like some teams lose because they're just not good enough. Like you just lose to a better team, and that's it. Or you lose because you're the Dolphins and you're like on your third string quarterback in Buffalo. And what was that guy's name that almost actually won that game?
Nate Peterman?
No. The Dolphins played a playoff game in Buffalo, and they were like on their third quarterback, and the game was way too close.
Oh, the 34-31 game? Oh, my God. Why are we forgetting this guy's name?
So, like,
not Wright Thompson, but something like that.
I was going to say Tage Thompson, but so Thompson's in there somewhere. But, like there's you can't just easily explain away a Dallas end. There's always something to laugh about. Yeah. There's always something to scratch your head about.
I know what you mean.
There's always something to be mad about. It's never just about football. It's never simple. And that's, to your point about Jerry Jones, like he sets the tone for the whole thing, and because he's not buttoned up, the whole thing gets out of whack.
Skylar Thompson, by the way.
Skylar Thompson.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Andrew Bogusch, are the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs this season?
They are not.
Okay, we're going to be talking all show about teams that made the playoffs last year who are not going to make it this year. I'm going to disagree with you. I think the Cowboys make it one more time under Mike McCarthy. Do they do anything in the playoffs? That's a different story. I think they make it. You think they're out. You can call us 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Do the Dallas Cowboys have a problem? Are they going to make the playoffs with all this, what Andrew Bogusch is calling chaos? it's not chaos in the sense of guys are running around outside the facility. It's chaos in contract sense. Kind of makes sense. CeeDee Lamb had a huge season last year. He wants $35 million. I understand why the team is like, oh man, at a certain point we're going to have a salary cap problem. You don't really believe in the salary cap, which I find entertaining.
No, what I believe in is being a good GM. And that if you make the right choices after signing a guy to a lot of money, then that contract does not become a problem.
Okay.
It becomes a problem indirectly, at least, when you make 9 bad choices afterwards and they all pile together and everyone look at the quarterback's huge cap hit, but it's that you're paying $15 million in dead money to a wide receiver that you had to cut because he stunk. Like here in New York, the Giants' issue for a while is paying Kenny Golladay to do absolutely nothing. Like you can't burn money.
Right. But the Cowboys haven't done any of that.
Your Eagles got to the Super Bowl with like $60 million in dead cap space.
Wait, but getting back to Dallas, what mistake has Dallas made? They've made nothing but smart draft choices for the most part. So I'm not sure you say that, but the reality is the Cowboys have made all sorts of good moves. They've had a great draft history.
Right, we were talking about
no, but you said you can pay a quarterback $55 million if you manage the rest of the cap smartly. Yeah, but the Cowboys have kind of done that, and it's not working.
Well, okay. I'm sorry. When I said that, I was not speaking directly about the Cowboys situation. I thought we were still on you telling Andrew Brandt that he didn't know how to run an NFL team after he ran an NFL team and also signed players. Yeah, the Dallas problem is Jerry Jones. The Dallas problem is the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Like I do think still that they are technically underachievers, that they could be better. They should be better if it was less of an insane asylum around their organization. Like whatever bad voodoo and mojo that your friend in the league also feels about Jerry Jones, like that is the overriding problem.
Yep, I hear you. You can call us 855-212-4227. Will the Cowboys make the playoffs? I say yes. Andrew Bogusch says no. I'm a little worried about the new offensive line. So we'll break that down. We have a lot of NFL training camp stuff. I have a toy I brought in. So Maggie is out for a couple more days. She would never go for this. EJ is at home, our executive producer. So he has no say right now. He can't do anything physically to stop this. My mom buys cheap sports things at Costco and gives them to me all the time. Every time I see her, I get something that costs $8. There is a box with a bell on top. Andrew Bogusch, would like to guess what this bell does?
I mean, it chimes, but is it? Are you hiding the logo from me? Because I see 3 sides of the box and there's nothing on it.
No.
And now you're opening the box. Is something inside?
Yes. It is football trivia card set.
What's in the box?
It is a head-to-head football trivia, and for some reason there's a bell. I'm not sure how the bell works. But I have a treat that I did not tell anyone. We're going to play some football trivia during the game.
Is your mom my mom? Because I'm going to have that at some point soon. Like, what's the next mini holiday?
Do you guys? My mom. Everything like Arbor Day, I get like a Phillies pillow or something.
Right. Like if we're kind of, we're past like Easter and stuff like that. I guess I don't get presents for Labor Day. Thanksgiving, I'm not going to get a goodie bag.
Get presents for Labor Day.
But like, if my mom usually like still makes a pseudo stocking stuffer around Christmas time and get like some candy and a chapstick and stuff, there will be something like that in this bag from my mom. It'll either be like a trivia book of sports or like a Mets calendar or a Bell and trivia cards.
Just a sample. Who has a nickname Too Tall?
Not Pete.
Oh, my God.
I got this.
No, Ed Too Tall Jones.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yes, okay.
I gotcha. Just
letting
the
fine.
room
That's what
answer.
I don't know. How's that pick up on Mike? I don't want to put it too close.
Good.
Okay. So we're having a bell. We should have some fun with that. Maggie would throw this bell through the window if she could.
I might. It's early still.
Yeah. But it is our studio, so I don't think you have the right to do that necessarily. There's a lot of Bills paraphernalia, a lot of Eagles paraphernalia. I don't see any Giants paraphernalia.
No, but I do think that Pete and I have squatters' rights in this room because we've worked in this room at this time since January of 2013.
The reality is, though, this room couldn't be further from a window, so there's nowhere to throw anything out of.
Is there a window behind us, Pete? There is, right?
If you tear down the set, there's a window.
There is a window back there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. It always felt pretty dungeon-like in here. All right. Will the Cowboys make the playoffs? That's a debate. And coming up, we're going to talk about last night's Hard Knocks because Cowboys might make the playoffs. I don't see the New York Giants doing it. That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. I have to admit, wasn't into New York Giants offseason Hard Knocks at all. I'm like, what are we watching here? This is totally curated. It's not real. Then I came in the office, and Andrew Bogusch got me excited about it. I think it has improved from episode to episode. And last night they aired week 4 of the offseason Hard Knocks, and it was all about the draft. So we got a kind of a unique look behind the scenes of what the draft process looks for a team. I don't think they showed us everything because there was a lot of trade talks, but we really never saw the whole trade talks. And there was a lot of talk about the Giants trading up for a quarterback. I still don't even think we know the whole story there. I came away from it saying they were never going to go all in to trade up from number 6 in the draft to number 3 in the draft to get Drake May. That I think a lot of people in that building wanted wide receiver Malik Neighbors out of LSU at number 6 anyway. That's the overall vibe I got. Yes, they gave some lip service to trading up for a quarterback. I didn't get a sense that that was ever really going to happen.
I think, though, or I guess what we don't know is that because of the Giants or the Patriots. Because in the conversation that we got last night, Elliot Wolf says, we're just going to stay here. Unless you're going to make a ridiculous offer that I have to say yes to, we're just going to stay here. So,
by the way, and Elliot said it very clearly, Elliot Wolf, we don't have a quarterback, and they're sitting at number 3. Right. They had to draft a quarterback too.
Right. So like that. So I'm assuming all of their conversations were similar to that, where Joe Schoen was trying to see what was out there, and even before he's on the phone with Elliot Wolf, he's talking, I think, to John Mara, right, not one of his assistants, and talking about, all right, well, I'm not going to go crazy for this deal. So there was a scenario, it appears, where the Giants would have traded to number 3 to take Drake May because they liked him that much. But the Patriots might never have been serious about moving off that pick. And whatever love the Giants had for Drake May, it had a ceiling to it because there was a price that they were not even going to consider paying to get there to take it.
Right. Part of this, the Patriots would have had to love getting J.J. McCarthy at 6. I think that the Patriots would have traded from 3 to 6, gotten a haul, and probably drafted J.J. McCarthy, who they reportedly liked as well.
Although I feel like it also seems to tell me that from the outside, we were all right, too, that the gap between those first 3 quarterbacks and the next guys was significant to the extent as well. Don't forget last night that they, as Joe Schoen is going through all of the different draft permutations, they get to the Falcons. Like he's running through the first round of what might happen. Here's what we're going to do. And they get to the Falcons, and there's not even a Michael Penix whisper mention, nothing. Like they had the Falcons taking edge rusher or trading out of that spot. Penix wasn't even on the graphic that they showed.
Every mock draft had the Falcons taking a defensive player, mostly an edge at that position. Yeah. Nobody. But you do remember the week before, Penix visited Atlanta, and people reported on that. And there was a report, I can't remember, I think it might have been Schefter saying Atlanta is interested in Michael Penix. So it was out in the ether. When it actually happened, it was shocking to us. Apparently, it was shocking to the Giants as well. That board was kind of awesome. We got to hear Joe Schoen's scenarios. What happens if Malik Neighbors goes 5 to the Chargers? Because the Chargers also needed a receiver. Yeah. Then it was pure chaos. He was going to possibly trade from 6 to 9, so the Bears come up and take a Dunze.
No, I think in that scenario, the Bears would have gone offensive line. At least that's what Joe Schoen thought, that they were going to take an offensive lineman to protect Caleb Williams, and then a Dunze might have been there for the Giants still at number 9.
But they've taken offensive line. They don't need an offensive lineman.
That's how he presented it in the room last night.
Well, I think he was wrong, and I think the Bears had their sights set on Roma Dunze, who they took at 9. Because the only offensive lineman, I guess Joe Alt could have been there, but in that scenario, I think that the Bears were talking about, I think they wanted to go up to 6 to get a Dunze. They got him at 9. Then the Giants, my sense, would have taken Brock Bowers.
Yes.
Brock Bowers, who went 13 to the Raiders. Mm-hmm. I came away from that. That's a guy I came away from with a little bit of a football crush on, Brock Bowers, because there was a great scene where Brian Daboll said, I talked to Nick Saban in the car today. Daboll used to be the offensive coordinator at Alabama with Saban. And he said there are 2 problems that he's coached against: Malik Neighbors of LSU and Brock Bowers of Georgia. And then the other thing, the Raiders took him at 13. It turns out the Rams were in love with Brock Bowers, and that is a very smart team. So I'm excited now for the Raiders and Brock Bowers. If the Giants had came out of that draft with just Brock Bowers, though, I think Giants fans would be nervous.
Yes, Neighbors, and I love Bowers, and he also goes on the list of guys who don't look the part. I mean, he looks nothing like a stud.
He looks like us.
Yeah. But I do think that there's a difference between drafting what appears to be a ridiculously good number 1 wide receiver and even the next great tight end. It's just not the same value.
The reason Brock Bowers might have fallen, Daniel Jeremiah, the NFL Network analyst, said if you draft a tight end in the first round, you're automatically making him the second highest paid tight end in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's no reason to pay a tight end first round money. Wide receiver, you get a great bargain. That's a big deal.
It is, but then I also saw people pushing back on that because then the second tight end contract is not crazy, but the second wide receiver contract is crazy.
Right. So well, that's 4 years or 5 years down the road.
Yeah, over like an 8-year span, you're paying Travis Kelce less than you're paying Justin Jefferson. So yeah, you're paying that tight end quicker than you normally would, but that second contract is not the 4 years, 140 that Jefferson just got, and CeeDee Lamb might top in Dallas.
Yeah, but we all know you can get tight ends. I mean, a lot of the great tight ends were lower round picks.
So at this point, let's not have a first round then. Everyone keeps, you can get this guy later. You can get this guy later. You can get this guy. You can get a wide receiver later. You can get a running back later. Let's just not have a first round. Let's start the draft from the fourth round.
Who are the two best tight ends in the NFL?
Travis Kelce
Third
and
round.
George Kittle.
Fifth round.
Okay, so then don't
I got to double
pick
check
anybody in the
Kelce.
first round.
I know Kittle was fifth round. I think Kelce was third round. So yeah, but tight end is a particular position that you don't draft high. It's just Kyle Pitts to Atlanta.
I know, we just keep crossing off positions that we don't take in the first round.
No, you take quarterback. You take quarterback, you take left tackle. It's not complicated. And you might take wide receiver.
But what if you don't need one of those spots?
Then
you take a tight end.
Yeah, you picked in the top 10 in the wrong year. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of science. Like you want left tackle, or actually both tackle spots in the first round. You can't say that's irrelevant. I mean, if take the best long snapper with a 12 pick, then bogus. Is that what you're going to do?
No. And well, until it's Bradley Schwartz in the draft, then yes.
Peter Schwartz, our update guy's son.
Good morning, Pete.
I don't know if Peter is out there. We had some technical difficulties yesterday.
We had some Schwartz difficulties yesterday.
Right.
Okay, we're going to go to update in a second. Pete Pilati, I've given him a box of football trivia cards, and we have a bell. And I'm going to put it between Andrew Bogus and I. Andrew Bogus sitting in for Maggie. Maggie's off one more day.
Well, what if I use my bell?
You have a bell too?
Is your bell? Because I have. Yeah. You brought in head-to-head football trivia today.
Yes.
I already had, courtesy of you apparently, head-to-head baseball trivia.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been using this bell for years.
Pete, give us a question, and whoever has the answer will ring the bell first. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, who has the nickname Bad Moon?
Warren Moon.
No.
Andre Bad Moon Rising? Yes.
All right, there we go.
Ding, ding.
I'm sorry, I panicked. Warren Bad Moon, that would be a bad nickname. Warren Bad Moon.
Right.
That'd be
Warren Bad Moon.
Warren Bad Moon Square.
Warren Bad Moon.
I don't know. Bad Moon Rising. Wait, you said Bad Moon.
Yeah, who has the nickname Bad Moon?
You got to say the rising part.
No,
that
that's
gives
why
it
it's
away.
Andre
His name.
Rising.
You had time to think about it. I shouldn't have. I just needed to ding so fast.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, wait, let me do one more.
All right.
Let me do one more.
I got it. Let me get my hand over the bell. Okay.
Okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers were the first NFL team to feature what? Yes. Perloff.
I just hit the bell. All right. How much time do I have? The Pittsburgh Steelers were the first team to feature
5, 4, 3, 2.
A mascot.
1. No. Yes.
A helmet logo.
No. Boyle, you want to try?
Cheerleaders.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's
correct.
Steeler cheerleaders?
Oh, we got to go. Just do one more. And EJ, I think if EJ's on Zoom, you can chime in too here.
Yes. Okay.
Awesome.
Who has the nickname the Toolbox? Perloff.
Boyle.
Peter Schwartz.
I'll rephrase.
That's right,
Which
depending who you
NFL player?
Who has a nickname the Toolbox? Is this a player we like?
Al Borland.
Yeah. Richard Karn.
Anyone know this? No Googling.
Anyone?
It's a football player?
Yes.
All right, just give it to us, Pete.
Ed West.
Oh,
I
Ed,
don't know
Ed
who
the
that is.
Toolbox West.
That was going to be my guess.
Yeah, he was a great umpire as well in baseball. Played for many years for the the Decatur Staleys, and then his son Joe West. No, I have no.
Country Joe
Who is
West's
Ed West?
dad?
Do you know who Ed West is?
I have no idea.
Okay, all right. Let's get to the update.
I just have the cards.
This is going south. Maggie is on vacation. She's going to be hearing this, and she's going to get on a plane to get here by 9 o'clock Eastern.
I think Peter Schwartz is the better answer, actually.
I did text with her yesterday, and she said the show has sent the clips have sounded great. I'm like, you should have heard the other 3.5 hours, the non-clip part.
Well, I mean, listen, talking about a franchise savior, Diana Rossini basically saved the show yesterday, and then Andrew Brand. It was headed off a cliff, and we got some logic in here. All right. Are you want to do one more, Pete? I mean, we got to go out. Ed West. I don't even know if that's a real person.
All right, this is an easy one.
Okay.
After the big win,
After the big what?
After the big win,
Okay.
where do most Super Bowl champions exclaim?
Go ahead, Bogey.
Bogus.
Disney World.
Yes, correct.
Gotta let him finish the question before you ding, guys. Come on.
Hey, shh. You stick with your GM number one list, okay?
Okay, that's enough for now. We'll get back to the bells later. Pat Boyle, you have a bell-free sports update for us?
I do. We're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. I start with some baseball from last night. A lot of Cy Young candidates were on the mound, including rookie sensation Paul Skeens from the Pirates. You're not going to lose many games in your life as a big league pitcher if you work into the ninth inning and only give up 2 runs, but that was the case for Skeens, who took his first loss of his big league career after Cardinals' Alec Burleson hit a go-ahead RBI single in the top of the ninth. St. Louis squeaks past the Pirates 2-1. Skeens not pulled through 104 pitches.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, was pulled with 97 and a no-hitter, but worked into the ninth inning, 104 pitches. He exited after giving up that hit. He worked 8 1/3, giving up just 4 hits while punching out 8. His ERA now rises to 1.93.
Very confused by this. Now he gets in the ninth inning in a game where he doesn't have a no-hitter, and also, they're not going to burn him out. They're still being careful because I think this guy's a gem. We got to keep him healthy.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the pitch count
the no-hitter,
was.
Yeah, the no-hitter, it would have been the 8th inning he would have started, right? That was the whole day. They pulled him up to 7, so it would have been a longer distance he would have had to go to finish that as opposed to, I guess, trying to get through maybe a quick 9th inning.
It doesn't matter because there's another Cy Young candidate who I think did pretty well last night. That better be the next update.
It's not. I was going to say, let's stick with the NL Central. We had another pitcher's duel in Wrigleyville.
1-2, line drive, back up the middle and into center field for a base hit. Trotting home is Bowers. Bryce Terang delivers an RBI single, and the Brewers take a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, it's Brewers Radio. Bryce Terang's RBI single in the 8th. The only tally in Chicago last night. Brewers blanked the Cubbies 1-0 in L.A. Shohei Ohtani drove in another 3 runs. Dodgers beat the Giants 5-2 for their 5th straight win in the loss. Giants young shortstop Tyler Fitzgerald homered for the 5th straight game.
You got to bet on Ohtani to win the MVP. Back to you.
Who does?
No.
I'm sure the odds are terrible right now.
Yeah, he's like minus 300. Like it's like a lock.
Well, that's what Maggie and I argue a lot. I say don't pitch him because the guy's going to win 8 straight MVPs as a hitter.
Yeah, he's going to win the MVP unless he gets hurt in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, my guy Bryce Harper going for MV3 is a little late.
MV3.
Good job. I'm glad you didn't copyright that, Perloff, or trademark that. You were trying to push that MVP thing. MP3, whatever thing.
I think it's annoying that Shohei Ohtani's now in the National League and he's going to knock Bryce Harper out of the MVP, but
I like it.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I'm sure he has some good sports books to go to, too.
Well, as I was mentioning, I think Zach Wheeler of the Phillies will be the Cy Young winner, so go ahead, Pat Boyle.
Yes, and that's how we were going to finish the baseball. Zach Wheeler, 7 shutout frames. Phillies blank the Twins 3-0. They got all 3 runs in the top of the 9th. A little Brandon Marsh sac fly, and then a 2-run double from Nick Castellanos. NBA, basically most of free agency is finished. Summer League over. We're just a few days away from the spotlight being on Team USA at the Paris Olympics. But we got some news from Paul George, the newest 76er, because he's got his Podcast P with Paul George. So, of course, that's good for some sound bites. And on his most recent one, Paul George opening up about his time with the Los Angeles Clippers. PG, who is from L.A., said it was great to be playing at home, but it never really felt like home since they shared the building with the Lakers.
When I was in L.A., they like, man, you should have been a Laker. That's all I was hearing. It wasn't no like, oh, welcome to the Clippers. Yo, we happy you in L.A., but you should have been a Laker.
You was on the second team.
I'm on the B team. That's how the vibe and the love felt.
Calling the Clippers the B team of L.A., I'm sure that'll go over well with Clips fans.
I mean, come on. Does anybody, even a Clippers, diehard, even Billy Crystal can't argue with that. Nobody, that is the most obvious statement of all time.
Steve Ballmer can't argue with that.
But the only thing, though, is this guy, when he signed the Clippers, he championed the Clippers, and he was like, oh, I grew up a Clippers fan. And then now he's like, we're just a B team. I just hate when guys do this flip flop.
Well, you guys are all a lot of Jets fans and Mets fans. You guys are all used to rooting for B teams. What's that like as a fan? I'm not sure.
Get lost.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, come on. Everyone knows the Clippers are the B team. The Lakers, the Jets are definitely the B team. The Giants.
I would say this:
they're second.
But I think the Mets and the Jets are not like the Clippers in terms of popularity in their cities. Like the Clippers, really almost don't exist in LA. Where like there are a lot of Jets and Mets fans in New York.
That's true.
It's a different thing.
And both NFL teams barely exist in LA. The Chargers are the B team there. LA is a very specific sports scene.
But like, I'm a Knicks fan, and I saw what happened in Brooklyn when Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden were all playing there. They were getting the Knicks were, and of course the Knicks were horrible, so they were getting headlines because of how much of a joke they were. If they were as good as they are now, maybe it would have been different. But the Nets, because again, they had 3 of the top 15 players in basketball, maybe even top 10. Go back 2 years ago, a lot has changed, but like they dominated the headlines. So they made the Brooklyn Nets more than just relevant. So if Paul George, I don't know, maybe actually stayed healthy, won postseason, and won something, the Clippers would have been as relevant as the Lakers because the Lakers have done squat since they won the COVID title.
In the 2010s, when the Clippers had Lob City, I think they were much more relevant than the down Lakers. Like when the Lakers had some bad years with Kobe, I feel like the Clippers took over just like the Nets and the Knicks. That's fair to say. When they had Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, they were a thing. I enjoyed watching them. So it can flip-flop. In general, I think fans who have 2 teams to choose from as kids are at a disadvantage. Coming from Philly or a town with everyone knows the same team, there's not Mets fans and Yankees fans. There's not White Sox fans and Cubs fans. There's not all those LA teams. I just think that generally a 2 professional team in one sport, not ideal to me. I don't know. You guys are a lot of New York fans. I don't like it.
Well, but it's also not, you don't start like with a blank slate. Like you follow who your family follows. So you're not really choosing between Mets and Yankees.
But you have like Philadelphia, everybody's pulling the same way. The entire city is wearing green on Sunday, and there's no doubt. New York, I've always felt was a little bit split.
Yeah, but obviously, but we're better, so we can handle it, and we have the same number of fans for each team.
I also think going to school and being a young person in New York as a sports fan is way more fun because now you don't have the situation where I got to call my friend in Philadelphia to argue about football. Like I can just talk to the guy down the street to argue Mets and Yankees, and we'll have a spirited discussion. Like to me, like that is way more fun to me. That the fact that you can go sometimes in your same house and have these kind of inner rivalries where if you're in a city, okay, yes, you're all pulling for one team, but you don't have these same fisticuffs, so to speak, when it comes to arguing about sports with your favorite players and with your favorite teams.
Yeah, but there was one thing in Philadelphia. I think every town has that. The random Cowboys fan. Like there's 2 out of every 10 young football fans who's a Cowboys. I'm looking at you, Todd Klempner. Yeah. All of a sudden, Troy Aikman's your guy.
Todd.
What's that, Pete?
Oh, I said Todd.
Yeah, Todd. So there is that. I hear you. All right, anything else, Pat Boyle?
Yeah, just some football. The big stories from yesterday in the NFL where most teams opened up training camp. You guys started the show with Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb holding out for the start of training camp. 49ers receiver Brandon Aiyuk, one of the other big holdouts. Here was San Fran GM John Lynch yesterday saying he fully expects Aiyuk to be a Niner going forward. That's what they've been saying all along. Said anything is possible in terms of contract negotiations.
Everything's a possibility. We not gonna get into negotiations, and as Kyle says, there's no absolutes. So we're open to anything, and like I said, Brandon's a big part of this team, and we expect that he will be going forward.
Yeah, so more of the same.
By the way, we're open to anything. Does that mean still call us? That's kind of how I read John Lynch's comments yesterday, that they're open to trade talks still for Aiyuk, because I know they've taken calls. It was a weird conference in the sense that he kind of said, like, listen, I know we've asked for a first rounder before. We'll still take that first rounder for Brandon Aiyuk possibly.
Yeah, it was kind of mixed messages because you can't say we're open to all possibilities because there's not that many possibilities in terms of contract. I mean, I guess you could tag him or sign him to shorter term deals, but like it sounded like it's, hey, something's going to happen, but also we expect him to be here long term. So what are you actually open to?
Seems like they're open to everything. There
was a point in his press conference where a reporter specifically asked him, last year you said you would never trade Joey Bosa. Are you willing to say that about Brandon Aiyuk. And basically he was just like, we're open to anything. So that was no. I mean, that means that he's not willing to go the same lengths he did when Joey Bosa was having his contract situation. So I found that very interesting.
Interesting to me, too, that the Niners obviously were asking for a first-round pick, and I get the sense that no team would do that at the draft. Give up first-round pick because you have to pay Brandon Aiyuk $30 million. Yeah. If you're the Steelers, you're the Buffalo Bills, you're the Jets, would you give up a first-round pick for Brandon Aiyuk, who has great numbers? But I do think there's a little bit of people wonder, is that because he's never seen a double team because he's got Deebo Samuel on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, and actions speak louder than words. Like the Niners used a first-round pick on another wide receiver this year, as you keep saying. That's the safety net. Now, trading for him, this came up yesterday. Tyreek Hill did get a first-round pick plus in that Chiefs-Dolphins trade. So I think you could trade next year's first. Like a team like the Jets, you can trade next year's first for Aiyuk, assuming that pick's now going to be in the 20s because I'm going to be good. Right. And so you're not trading a top 10 pick.
I'm not sure teams are doing that, though. Do you think they are? Because you have to pay Aiyuk. Do you think the Jets called up and said, I'll give you a first rounder for him?
I'm sure the Jets called.
Well, I was just going to say, remember with the Niners 2 years ago, Deebo said he would never play for the Niners again, demanded a trade, did all the things that basically Aiyuk is doing.
Oh, yeah.
But this was, he reported for mandatory minicamp. I'm kind of going through the timeline. He reported June 7th for mandatory minicamp, and then they signed him. Then he got a 3-year contract extension July 31st. So almost 2 months later. But that's, of course, after, again, he demanded a trade, said he'd never play for the Niners again. So it seems to me that they are going to get a deal done with Aiyuk. But I guess there also is a possibility, instead of trading Aiyuk, do they trade Deebo Samuel?
Yeah, I mean, that's been in the air. It's one or the other. Deebo's, if you watch, there was a documentary on Netflix, Receiver, about Deebo Samuel. His body has been through so much that'd be cruel, but I think there's a reality. Like, I want to keep the younger guy. I get that logic.
How great. Go ahead, EJ.
No, I'm saying, and we could have that same conversation you guys have been having for the last few days, which is like, they have to pay Brock Purdy. It's a situation where they can afford to spend on Brandon Aiyuk and then pay Brock Purdy the next offseason too. So this whole conversation of just paying your quarterback mean you can't have weapons around him, we're going to find out in maybe the next few months.
Wow, right. They extended McCaffrey too. They've done a lot this offseason. All right, thanks, Pat Boyle. Coming up, we're going to get back to this conversation we started at the beginning of the hour. Will the Dallas Cowboys be one of the teams to fall out of the playoff race, and what other teams are in danger? That's next, right here on the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. Andrew Bogusch sitting in for Maggie. Maggie will return tomorrow. I think she's somewhere breaking down tape of the Buffalo Bills revamped secondary. I actually am not sure what she's doing. It's all been very mysterious. There were some travel issues. There was a rental car somewhere in the Midwest.
I think a lake is involved.
There's a lake involved, not an ocean. Hopefully she's having a great time. We'll come back well rested. Meanwhile, we will try not to burn down the show. Okay, so Andrew Bogusch, earlier this hour.
It does feel like when mom is out.
Yeah.
And like dad's in charge. And
yeah.
It's hot dogs and mac and cheese for dinner. Toys are everywhere. There's dishes in the sink.
You guys want to watch a horror movie and stay up till midnight?
Right.
Let's do it. Okay, so earlier in the hour, you said the Dallas Cowboys will be one of the teams that made the playoffs last year and will fall out. Do you have the average in front of you, Andrew, about how many teams usually make the playoffs and fall off the next year?
So I have not found the specific trend that I mentioned to you yesterday to reconfirm it. But at one point, we were on a stretch of there were 5 new playoff teams every year for a decade.
Yes.
There are 14 teams. They make it now, 7 on each side. So we're still in an area where we're flipping 4, 5, or 6 teams almost every year.
Oh, absolutely.
And
it's so hard
there's turnover.
I've done predictions for years. I'm the guy who always picks the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl last year to be in the Super Bowl again. That is hard to pick. I'm looking at this year's, I'm like, yeah, well, the Chiefs, they sound good. Oh, the Niners, they look pretty darn good coming to the NFC. I'm going to do Chiefs, Niners, Super Bowl. Never ever works out that way. Rarely. It's been years since there's been a repeat of both teams. So we'll have to keep that in mind. I think the Cowboys, I think some of the drama is a little overstated. I think that when it comes down to it, McCarthy has a good chemistry with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and you do have Micah Parsons. I think that they squeak into the playoffs this year. So that's not my first NFC team to fall out. I think the first team to fall out is obvious because the NFC South, that is the famous turnover division. There's always a new winner in the NFC South. Last year, the Bucs squeaked by at the end. They beat the Panthers in one of the ugliest Week 18 games you'll ever see, and won the division in 9-8. I am buying the offseason hype. Kirk Cousins leads Atlanta to that division. So to me, the easiest NFC playoff team from last year to fall off is Tampa Bay. What do you think, Andrew?
I think that's the easiest one, and by like a lot. And it's because mostly for me, it's the stupid NFC South. Like I still don't think that's a 2-team playoff division. So like that's a flip to me of Bucs and Falcons. If I'm locking in a pick right now, Atlanta wins the division instead of Tampa Bay this year. But the rest of the NFC is hard when you look at it because I'm not sure of what teams are ascending in the NFC. And we're going to get into the AFC later in the day, in the morning. There are teams that didn't make the playoffs last year that I can make the case to get in this year. Like, I don't know where the non-playoff teams from a year ago in the NFC, how they become playoff teams this year.
Well, Chicago was 7-10 last year and got hot at the end of the year, and they're bringing in Caleb Williams.
And that's going to be, I'm already frustrated by the Bears' love right now. Because I thought I heard somebody the other day on TV have them in the NFC Championship game. And I love Caleb Williams. And I've always loved Keenan Allen going in there. You didn't, and then you did like Keenan Allen going to Chicago. So I understand the Bears progressing, but usually it's hard for rookie quarterbacks to walk in and be really good right from the start. And the Bears have the Packers and the Lions in that division with them as well. So I understand Chicago being better, and I know what they can do on defense, but I don't know that I can comfortably put them ahead of the other two teams in their division. But at least the best news for them is being in the NFC, where there maybe is a little more room because of some more mediocre teams to get fat in places in your schedule and get that record nice and move up the board a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny. It's been a good offseason for Matt Eberflus, their head coach. He's very popular among the players. Their defense picked it up last year. Montez Sweat actually turned out to be a great trade. They have 1 million weapons for Caleb Williams. It is crazy because not only Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze is ready to go. I mean, I've never seen a more NFL-ready receiver. I don't think he's as spectacular as Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors, who went ahead of him in the draft, but he's so solid. Then they have Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett at tight end. They got DeAndre Swift, who runs hard. I mean, everything is set up for success for Caleb Williams. That's an interesting one. It's annoying to me that there's 4 young ascending teams in the NFC North, because I think Minnesota is a young, interesting team. They have Brian Flores, a defensive coordinator. They got a lot going on positive there. So we'll see. I'm going right now. You have the Cowboys falling out. I have the Bucs. We'll do more playoff teams to fall out, especially in the AFC later in the show. Do we have time for one quick trivia question? We're doing random NFL football trivia today.
Oh, yes.
People-Lotti.
Yes, we do. Which NFL team has the only logo that faces left? Andrew Bogusch.
I misunderstood the question. That's my fault, not yours.
Okay. Take a guess. 5.
Definitely
the Jets.
No.
I'll have to go with the Arizona Cardinals.
No.
Can you repeat the question for my second guess?
Which NFL team has the only logo that faces left?
That's a fun question. I have no idea.
And it's not the Steelers, right?
No.
Okay.
Well, their logo
is only on
not
the left
facing
side of
one
the
way or the
I'm
other.
going to tell you, and you're going to kick yourself.
You need a face.
The Giants.
The Eagles.
What does that mean if their logo faces left?
It means on the helmet, face the eagle faces left or face right.
All right. I'm having trouble visualizing this. You're going to have to show me in the break.
The card says.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next.
Don't question the card.
We are down to the Elite 8 in the sitcom bracket right here. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
No. Oh, it's on.
4 minutes remaining.
Thinks he's a Andrew Perloff's got a tale to tell. Thinks he's an Aussie, but you can never tell. Tries to talk like he's from down under, but his accent's thunder. Oh, what a wonder. Andrew made you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. Crikey, he says, but it sounds all wrong. Mixes kangaroos with a New York song. Crocodile Dundee would have a laugh if he heard our Andrew with his strange mishmash. Andrew made you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. Foster's in his hand, trying to fit in, but his mates back home just chuckle and grin. He should be slinging steaks, not slinging slang. In the kitchen's where he can really hang. Andrew made you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. So here's to Perloff, I wanna be Aussie. Andrew made you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your G-Day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. So here's to Perloff, I wanna be Aussie. So here's to Perloff, I wanna be Aussie.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say thank you for being a friend.
15 seconds.
Forget it.
Perilous by I'm off.
You're gone already.
Glass gleaming, who brought stripes and bright stars?
You're way off. Forget it.
Perilous by I'm off.
You're gone already.
Glass gleaming.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. CeeDee Lamb will not be at Cowboys camp in Oxnard, California, the most beautiful training camp in the NFL by far. Lovely place. The weather's always good in Oxnard. I don't know why Lamb's not going just for that.
Have we mentioned, by the way, on the air that the Raiders are going back to Southern California for training camp this year? but they can't tell anyone about it because they're going into what is technically Rams and Chargers owned business territory. So they can't have any local media coverage. They can't have any commercials running, nothing. They can't have an open practice. So they're going to Southern California because Antonio Pierce wants to get out of Vegas, do the whole team bonding thing. But they basically have to do it in secret because of the NFL's business rules.
So bizarre. I didn't know they couldn't have local media. What's to stop? What if a reporter wants to just come down there? They're not allowed in the building?
The national reporters can be there. Vegas-based beat reporters can be there. But wherever they are, in Orange County, like the OC Register can't send someone to training camp to cover it.
That's a shame because that is always an interesting training camp. So we'll keep an eye on all the guys who are reporting, not reporting. Interesting situation. We're not quite sure what's happening with Tua. A lot of guys want to get paid. But first, you know what time it is, Andrew Bogish. We are getting down to the end of the Maggie and Perloff Show sitcom bracket, our effort to determine the greatest sitcom of all time. You, the listeners, get to vote at our X feed at Maggie and Pearl. All right, let's get into yesterday. We're in the Elite Eight. Usually there's been mostly blowouts throughout the entire tournament with always one close to 50-50. What happened yesterday? Break it down for us, Andrew Bogish.
That overall trend does continue. Not surprisingly, this is in the MASH region named for the number one seed, and MASH has a 64% to 36% lead on the Cosby Show. There's roughly 13 minutes left in voting, so about 7:15 Eastern, you can still get some votes in. Not sure you can change that one. You also probably can't change what's going on in the Cheers region with number one Cheers having a 73 to 27 edge on Happy Days. Unfortunately for us, Always Sunny in Philadelphia back in that MASH region is losing to Curb by almost a 2-1 margin. The only thing, though, that is still left to determine is a true good versus evil battle in that Cheers region, the 2 seed, Friends against number 11, Married with Children. And at the moment, Friends clinging to a 51-49% lead.
Let's go, Al Bundy fans. Flood the inbox.
Yeah, let's go, Cretans.
Let's go.
All right, you could go to at Maggie and Pearl, vote for Married with Children. Are there 2 more opposite shows than Friends and Married with Children?
Probably not.
Pete, I'm assuming you're a Married with Children guy?
Yes, and yes.
Andrew, you are a Friends guy, right?
100%.
Let me ask you a question about Friends. Do you find it funny or entertaining?
I guess I find it more entertaining than funny.
Yeah.
But like laugh out loud moments. But in 2024, I still think it's funny.
Okay, let's go back to 1999. You have your choice. You can date Courtney Cox or Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston, with no hesitation.
Okay, because there's a few Courtney Cox fans out there.
There are episodes where Courtney Cox looks ridiculous, but from start to finish, Aniston's my number one all time. There is not a head-to-head battle that she would lose.
Gotcha.
That you could present to me.
Pete's taking Christina Applegate all day long, I assume.
Cheers, yes.
Okay, what do we got today? We are down to the Elite Eight. We are in the Seinfeld region. Okay, so Seinfeld is the number one seed. It's looked amazing. Let's hear a clip. Oh, this is such a good one. This is Frank explaining Festivus.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it. You, Kruger, my son tells me your company stinks.
Oh, God.
Quiet, you'll get yours in a minute. Kruger, you couldn't smooth a silk sheet if you had a hot date with a babe. I lost my train of thought.
I guess that's funny.
That is, of course, George's dad didn't have Christmas, didn't have any other holidays, had Festivus. That number one seed, Seinfeld, goes against number 2 seed, I Love Lucy. Here's Lucy and Ethel.
Get out the corner and get some ginger ale.
Well, he sure was in a hurry. Oh, they only allow him 1 minute between rounds. Yeah. You know, he's got himself trained so he can do anything in less than a minute. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Whoa. That was racy. What year was that joke? I assume they are referring to the bedroom there, Mr. Bogus.
I stopped listening. That seemed inappropriate.
Yeah, wow. I give them full credit for that. That was a funny joke. Okay, let's move over to the
I don't get it.
They had to sleep in 2 separate beds too during that.
How long was that a thing on TV?
Wait. How long was what? Okay.
No, they had it. You see on those episodes, they had to sleep in 2 separate beds.
That's a pretty risque joke right there, saying that Desi was quick in the bedroom,
right?
And they were married in real life.
And you know what's funny, guys? I cut that clip. They did not include the laugh track for that last comment. I think maybe to kind of like take the edge off that joke. Huh. But it's very clear what they're doing.
That's pretty funny. Full credit to Lucille Ball for that.
But was it Newhart? Was that the first? There is a historical moment in TV where a husband and wife for the first time were shown sleeping in the same bed.
I think you're right with Newhart on that one.
Right? That was a thing.
But that's that's different. They weren't shown like doing anything.
No. But until then, you either didn't see anything or they were in separate beds, which is a crazy thing.
So Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore and the Dick Van Dyke Show certainly were not in the same bed. Although Mary Tyler Moore was a smoke show in that show.
But the grandparents in the Willy Wonka, they were all in the same bed.
Oh, Kazoo, get out of here.
The 70s.
Way to kill the erotic mood with Uncle Charlie.
Some would say that's even more erotic.
Oh, now you guys got weird. You ruined the whole damn joke. What are you doing here?
Some of us in the B. Arthur chat group love those.
Yeah, Mr. Oh, I love Golden Girls. We know what kind of type you like, Zoo.
Hey, all their children got married and they got in the same bed. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, my God.
The B for me chat.
Oh, boy. I'm a little off here. Okay, let's go to the Simpsons region fast. Number 1 seed Simpsons. Here's Lisa and Bart.
Look alive, Simpson. I'm not paying you the gold brick.
Yes, sir.
Now get cracking on my long division and don't forget to show your work, Simpson.
I'll have it on your desk in the morning, sir.
Bart, leave Simpson alone. Simpson, I need a ride to the library.
Yes, sir.
Kid, stop exploiting your father. Homie, why don't you lie down and relax?
Outside, March. I think Mr. Burns wants me to do some long division.
Simpson, lie down.
All right, that was Bart and Lisa. I remember that episode. Homer did not do a good job taking over for Smithers, but it all worked out. And the number 1 seed Simpsons going against the number 2 seed The Office. Here's Michael Scott.
Was being negligent, but she's in the hospital. She's fine, recovering nicely. Tiny little crack in her pelvis, but she will be up.
Did this happen on company property?
Yes, it was on company property with company property. So, double jeopardy. We are fine.
I don't think you understand how jeopardy works.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. What is we're fine?
Somebody in the chat is saying that Ethel Mertz was hot. Does anyone? Someone say Alice Cramden.
Grandmother?
Alice Cramden was hotter.
With a name like Ethel, baby. Oof.
That was my grandmother's name. My dad's mom was named Ethel.
Hey, look out.
There's a Twitter feed. There's a Twitter feed that does this thing. And Maggie, I apologize. You will take control tomorrow. They do this thing where they talk about who women, when we were kids, seemed so old on TV that we would now absolutely hook up with. And it was about, and it's a picture of Lovey Howell. And it says, oh, I didn't know there was a third option now in the Gilligan's Island. And the other one was, as a kid watching Facts of Life, I was in love with Tootie or whatever. Now 3 beers in, I'm all over Mrs. Garrett.
That's still a hard pass for me, but okay.
I don't know. You might want to look at those pictures again.
Cloris Leachman.
Zoo, you know what I'm talking about as a Golden Girls fan?
Well, I know Cloris Leachman. She's been outside for a little bit. You know, she actually, you know.
Wait.
She's a little, you know, she had her.
She's been weathered.
She's
been outside a little bit.
Yeah, she's been, you know, in the movies. She's been out here in the last couple of decades.
Erosion has set in.
I got to tell you, I don't know exactly.
A lot of runoff.
Oh.
Okay. Now.
More drainage.
Okay. Alice and Brady Bunch. I know Ralph loved her, but anybody who's into Alice, now that's a cry for help.
Didn't one of the kids date Date.
Date
no,
the mom.
none of the kids
Date the
dated
mom.
Alice.
Date the
Yeah,
mom.
Greg tried to date Florence Henderson. That I totally get.
Right. Oh,
In
yeah.
the show?
No. Oh my God.
That's an alternate version.
Time for a question. With what number pick was Patrick Mahomes selected during the 2017 NFL Draft?
Number 10.
11.
You're right.
Oh my gosh. Zoo.
What hub site were you watching this Brady Bunch episode on, Zoo?
I was trying to figure out what was going on here. I never heard about any of this. They were all trying to date Alice and the mama?
No, nobody was trying to date Alice except for Ralph the Butcher. Alice was great, very funny. But first of all, she was too busy delivering witty one-liners to actually have any romance in her life. But we're going back to old sitcom, like really old sitcom women who were hotter than we thought. Ethel Mertz from I Love Lucy leading the way here.
What about the Three's Company? The Jan from, is that her name? Jan in Three's Company?
Well, that's in the whole Ginger Marianne conversation. You know, obviously Ginger, Suzanne Summers. Then there's always the brunette who's got the great personality that some guys like. What's her name? Is it Jan, you said?
That was just a guess, a dart at the wall.
Oh, no, the Gilligan's Island is Marianne. That's what you're talking about?
No, I'm saying there's always like the less hot version.
Yeah.
No,
like,
this was,
Pete, you're a big Three's Company person. Are you? Who did you like?
I liked Suzanne Summers.
Right.
There's no contest.
But
on that
Jan
one.
does sound right as the other woman's
I
name.
believe so. I'm blanking. I don't know why.
Speaking of which, Bilotti Invitational Tournament, the snubs from the Maggie and Perloff sitcom bracket. I saw on social media. How far down are you?
We're in the finals. The working man's tournament. We're into the finals. Three's Company and Home Improvement will be the finals, and that vote will start Friday.
Yeah, because the working man's bracket gets 2 days off now.
That's right. They get
Why
time
are we
to rest.
waiting till Friday? Are these travel days for these? Are they moving venues? What's going on
time
here?
to rest. They got to talk to the media. Everybody.
Love it. Okay, time for one more football trivia question. Pete, save us with a good one right here.
I don't know if it's a good one, but we'll give it a shot. Let's go here. Which three quarterbacks passed for over 40 touchdowns during the 2020 NFL season?
Okay, 2020.
Perloff.
Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers.
Wrong.
Ugh!
Bogus, would you like to take this one?
Mahomes and Stafford.
No.
You're wrong.
You said 3, first of all, so that's already a little short.
Mahomes and Stafford and Aaron Rodgers.
I will repeat the question again. Which three quarterbacks passed for over 40 touchdowns during the 2020 NFL season?
Yeah, I would. I don't know who.
Okay, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson.
Oh, you are kidding me.
Bite me, Russell.
Yeah. Oh, that is a disappointment.
The Ethel Mertz of quarterbacks.
All right. Thank you, Pete. Coming up next, we are going to pick an AFC playoff team from last year who's going to fall out. Every year, a bunch of playoff teams fall out. You never see them coming, but Andrew Bogusch and I do. That's next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Top 10 moments from Andrew Perloff's Skyline Chili Bet Payoff. Number 10.
With the cheese, he is very delicately breaking the film.
Number 9.
There is juice cascading off his nose.
It's good.
Number 8.
All the way in. Oh, we have spaghetti. He has found the pasta.
Number 7.
Big bite. Oh, that's a lot of pasta.
You're really getting in there.
Number 6.
Why I didn't.
There we go.
Slurping
Good
sound.
slurping.
Number 5.
Oh.
Number 4.
Oh my god.
That was a full open mouth tongue scoop of pasta. This
Number
is
3.
friendship. Oh, it's like he's a 4-year-old.
Number 2.
Using a bowl of chili anymore. Oh, our first rip of pasta.
And the number 1 moment from Andrew Perloff's Skyline
Now we're
Chili
making
Bet payoff.
noises as we gobble up. Oh, now it's over.
Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
You gotta blur this out.
Bonus question.
How do I get over it?
the soccer shin guards and the cleats. Honestly, who knew that Perloff not only owned a short?
Where is HR? Do we have HR?
You gotta blur this out.
Bonus question.
How do I get over it?
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Theme of the day is 2023 NFL playoff teams who will not be back. Every year there's big turnover. It's hard to see coming. There's one team where I do not think it's hard to see coming. I think the losses in Miami make it very challenging for the Dolphins to get back to the playoffs. Now, last year, remember, they made it, lost that really cold game to Kansas City. They were great early in the year. Injuries killed their defense. But those injuries are still there. A lot of these guys are on the PUP list. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are coming off major injuries that they suffered late in the season. I feel like they're not going to be healthy. They signed Shaq Barrett, former Bucs pass rusher. He retires. I just think there are a lot of losses. And Jalen Ramsey's getting older. You do have this Tua situation, which is taking all the headlines. I just worry the defense is not going to be as good as last year. And even if the offense is high flying, I think they're very vulnerable to fall out of the playoff hunt.
They definitely are. Not only the talent loss, but new defensive coordinator. Anthony Weaver's in on that side. They did sign Calais Campbell, and he's been remarkable, but he's 37. They lose Christian Watkins to the Raiders, and they sign like 13 defensive tackles, hoping that one or two of them can fill in for Watkins.
Wilkins.
Well, Wilkins.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I'm sorry. My fault.
I forgot to mention him. That's a huge loss. He's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on offense, you already mentioned Tua, but Tyreek wants to get paid as well. They've got
I forgot about that.
Right. Odell Beckham is there too. So, and maybe the biggest issue for the Dolphins in my mind is that the Jets are better than them if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. So now are they at best a third best team in the AFC East?
Well, there's some people think the Bills will fall off a little bit because
fall past the Dolphins.
I don't think so. I'm into the Bills. The Bills obviously lost Stephon Diggs, so that's been a weird division. The Jets, obviously, a lot of weird energy with Aaron Rodgers. They're always prone for injuries as well. The Patriots should be some easy wins. I just think Mike McDaniel's a bit on the hot seat there. His offense is great. Can they get it all together? This is not really a critique of the way they built the team. I just think that they're going to be injured, and I think it's going to be tough. Because at the end of last year, they were technically a playoff team, but they were not competitive or a threat in the AFC anymore.
No, and on top of being shorthanded, they didn't seem ready or wanting to play in those conditions in Kansas City. Now, it'd be surprising if they found themselves in a similarly historically cold game this coming January.
Yeah.
The odds of that are slim. But I think there are teams that are going to jump them as they come back a little bit. And, the Chubb and Phillips things, they keep saying, like, we don't know about now. How do they not know about now? Like, Phillips got hurt on Thanksgiving, tore his Achilles on Black Friday. Yeah. That was the game with the Jets on Black Friday. So, like, that's November. So, like, they're leaving open the possibility for them being ready at the start of the season.
And Chubb was in December, right?
Yeah, that seems impossible to me.
Well, okay. A little bit of positivity. They do have Devon Achane back, and he is spectacular. And Raheem Mostert is 30-something and still like the third fastest running back.
Right.
He's crazy.
They drafted a running back, too.
Right. Who'd they draft?
Wright? Jalen Wright.
Wright. So, and obviously you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
And OBJ.
Yeah, I'm not going there. But they have...
he is there,
they have
technically.
Arguably the best 1-2 combination of wide receiver. And they have Mike McDaniels calls a really kind of clever offense. So they could run over teams. I just think that the 70-20 win over the Broncos gave us false hope about what this team was going to be. They're not the greatest show on turf where their offense can just overwhelm everybody, and they need home field.
Yes.
So that's going to be hard to do. I just a little worried about Miami.
I also think, and this is not a football critique, and it doesn't necessarily lead to a loss or a bad record, but because they were so cool and hip last year, they are easy to flip on and dislike them. So if they struggle, I think some people will almost enjoy being able to kind of troll them a little bit.
Dunk on them a bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, you like Tua, though. No one's trolling on Tua. He plays a guitar. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, but haircut, who is he anymore? We were confused.
Oh, I didn't even get into skinny Tua, which I didn't understand at all. He puts on weight, stays healthy. Now he wants to be skinny fast
back down,
Tua.
yeah.
That is weird. You did mention that it's not getting a lot of attention that Tyreek Hill wants a new contract. Even though he's getting $30 million a year, he's seeing all Justin Jefferson and all these other guys. So that'll be interesting. It's just combustible. It's a fun team to watch. Who does not like offensive heavy teams?
Yeah.
But they have a lot of issues here. Maggie is not here. Maggie's still on vacation. She thinks that it's totally unfair to put Mike McDaniels on the hot seat.
He's not on the hot seat.
You don't think so? It
No.
seems like he is.
I don't think there's a way he loses his job this year unless he slap fights Stephen Ross. He's not getting fired for football reasons this year.
I don't know. Am I saying McDaniels? God, Josh McDaniels kill me. Mike McDaniel. He is
Christian Watkins, Christian Wilkins. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I do think if they don't make the playoffs, the problem is they've spent so much money at that team. They bought so many free agents that they've raised the expectation maybe to an unfair level. The other thing is, when is Miami going to break through? When's the last time that they've been really competitive? They haven't been. I did the number the other day. I don't think they've been to an AFC title game since early 90s. So I could see some impatience growing there. That's the issue. At what point are they going to be elite again? It's been forever.
I thought they were elite last year.
Yeah.
And they might have been elite last year if they didn't fall apart physically.
And it didn't seem like they jived with Vic Fangio, the defense coordinator, is now in Philly. So we'll see. We're going to do throughout the show other teams that we think could fall off after making the playoffs last year.
Yeah, and just for the record, there were 6 new playoff teams last year, 3 in each conference. Yep. The Browns, Texans, Steelers, the Lions, Rams, and Packers were all new playoff teams from 2022 to 2023.
And you don't see it coming. It'll probably be more. All right, let's get to Pat Boyle with the sports update. We'll do more football trivia throughout the show. Get ready, Pete. I got my bell ready. My mom gave me this cheap set of football trivia cards. It's been a lot of fun. But first, let's do updates with Pat Boyle.
All right, guys, we hit on Paul Skeens, Zach Wheeler, some of the big baseball results from last night in the opening hours. Some other Cy Young candidates were on the bump last night, including Seattle's Logan Gilbert. He was dominant through 4 innings against the Angels, then ran into big trouble in the 5th, walked a run in, and then the Angels go safety squeeze with the bases loaded. Gilbert throws the ball away, trying to get the force out at the plate. Another run scores. That proved to be the decisive blow. Angels beat the Mariners 5-1. Gilbert created most of his problems, but only ends up giving up 1 earned run through 6 2/3 to go with 8 Ks. The only reason I'd ever mention the pathetic, putrid, horrendous joke of a franchise, Chicago White Sox, is because of their lefty young stud Garrett Crochet, not only a Cy Young candidate, but also the rumor of a blockbuster deadline deal that could go down in the next week. He wasn't great last night. Chicago has openly said they're going to limit his innings. Crochet pitched just 4 frames, 2 runs, 7 Ks. What a surprise. The White Sox lose again. Rangers beat them 3-2. The White Sox are now 27-76.
Oh,
27-76.
Pat, is there a team that is rumored to be after him at the trade deadline?
Couple. Orioles, Guardians. I think I'm trying to think in the National League,
Dodgers.
the team that I heard of.
Dodgers.
So
yeah, I think Dodgers, Orioles probably the 2 most likely, but the Guardians, if they want to give up a lot of their prospects, they need starting pitching as well.
Yeah, so what does limiting his innings mean as far as a trade deadline? Because you're limiting your innings usually do because you want this guy in the building for a long time. So that's kind of weird.
So that's the thing. I mean, well, the White Sox don't know what they're doing, right? And they usually never do. So
they probably don't want him getting hurt.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, that might have been his last start before the deadline, right? Last time was Tuesday,
Right.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Well, he could have pitched, I guess, Sunday or Monday.
The only reason I think they'd be limiting his innings and want to trade him, I guess they just wanted to make sure he didn't get hurt before the trade deadline, and now they can get as much back for him as possible.
And plus, if you're working him, the team that gets him may have an innings limit on him too. So you may not be able to do much with him if he's pitched all these innings.
Right, and there's no downside to an inning limit now because they're not doing anything, obviously.
True.
Right.
And then you guys had Subway Series Part 2 in the Bronx kickoff last night, and even a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes.
Tonkin sets. Here's the pitch. Swinging a high fly ball, well hit, right center. Soto going back towards the track, towards the wall. It's gone! Jeff McNeil, a 2-run homer into the Yankees bullpen in right center field. He's had the power stroke this week, and he has just given the Mets a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, Howie Rose, Mets radio. Jeff McNeil's 2-run home run proved to be the game winner. Mets beat the Yankees for the 3rd straight time this year, 3-2 the final. And Bogusch, Pete, I'm sure you guys, EJ, I'm sure you guys see how the Mets continue to lay out the playbook for anybody playing the Yankees. Just walk Aaron Judge and just hope to get him out in the 9th inning.
Yeah, it worked last night, huh? Jake Diekman throwing BBs past Judge, sit him down, a big spot.
Yep.
Thanks for playing.
4 straight walks for Judge, and then, yes, Jake Diekman got him with a fastball in the 9th, looking.
Is there any Mets fan that thought Diekman was getting out of that inning last night? I don't think there was one.
Did Diekman think Diekman was getting out of that inning last night?
He did the post game, and Gelbs asked him, like, hey, like, you know, what was your mindset going against Aaron Judge? And he, like, didn't speak for, like, what felt like 10 seconds. Like, he's like you could see, like, the numbers and things computing in his head of, like, oh, crap, I'm against Aaron Judge. How am I going to get out of this? But he did, so shout out to him.
Aaron Judge is not new by any stretch of the imagination, and it's still startling when he steps to home plate and you see him physically in comparison to the catcher and the umpire, how just big of a human being he is.
Now, I probably would have walked him again, to be honest.
I would have too.
But because Soto and Judge are the only players in that lineup right now that can beat a team. Because nothing else is happening in that lineup. And that's the problem they're going to have at the trade deadline. They need to add a bat, maybe 2.
It's funny.
That Yankee lineup last night was a disgrace. J.D. Davis cleaning up. Yeah. Come on.
That's funny. Gary Cohen saying that the player had his power stroke. I thought we were talking about Zoo watching Golden Girls. Anyway, back to Pat Boyle.
Wow. That's as risque as you can get,
Or
huh?
anyone watching Maud.
I don't know what Gary Cohen's talking about. It was such an odd way to describe a batter. Please, Pat, next headline.
Yeah, football.
You're listening to Maggie and Perloff after dark.
Just Perloff.
Football, all 32 teams will have reported to training camp after today. We hit the two big receiver holdouts last hour. How about a holdout avoided from Matt Stafford? He reported to Rams camp, but only after they adjusted his contract. Yesterday, head coach Sean McVay refused to get into the specifics, but said it was not a contract extension. Back in April, McVay did acknowledge a report that Stafford wanted more guaranteed money on his contract and that there was a lot more urgency in the last few days to rework his deal. So
that's actually kind of a big deal because I think the Cowboys have been secretly eyeing Matthew Stafford, not so secretly, Dallas native. So Rams had an easy out after the season. Now, I understand the new restructure means that it's not as easy to get rid of him. A little disappointed because I'm not sure where Stafford's going with the Rams. I think Stafford would be cool to see. If they did let go of Dak Prescott, probably not going to happen. That would have made so much sense to me, but now I guess that is over.
Well, going to be tough to replace Aaron Donald, but that offense, you got a lot of young studs. Puka Nacua, the year he had, I think he is, I don't know about my eyes, but I think in a lot of people's eyes, he has now leapfrogged Cooper Kupp after Kupp had that tough injury 2 years ago and then it wasn't great, wasn't Cooper Kupp last year. And then you got Kyron Williams, they added Blake Corum.
Wow,
that offense could be dangerous, lethal.
Kyron Williams coming off injury, right? And they actually drafted really well on defense. Kupp came back a little bit toward the end. He took some targets away from Nacua. I think Kupp, when he got back, had a couple 100-yard games. But both of them are very good.
But you want Stafford in Dallas, but you don't know why the Rams want to keep him? Like, if he's useful for the Cowboys, he's useful for the Rams, no?
I understand everything you're saying. Everything is good with the Rams. Do you really think that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford have another Super Bowl run in them in L.A. without Aaron Donald there? I have trouble seeing that.
Tough.
You're kind of
with the Niners right there is tough.
The Niners
too.
are right there. I kind of want to see something different for Dallas. I feel like Stafford and Dallas would be exciting. You know, I like new faces, old faces, new places, whatever. Right. I think that's an interesting poll. Would you be excited if Matthew Stafford joined the Cowboys? I think the average NFL fan would be into that.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm worried about with Stafford is how he ages because he was pretty healthy last season, though he's had injuries for the last 2 seasons. I mean, he's going to be 36 this year. Like, I wonder, he looked awesome in that playoff game against the Lions. Like, I've kind of been a Stafford detractor, and I was like, man, he looks incredible in this game, and he's slinging the ball everywhere. I just wonder if his body can hold up because he's been dealing with some kind of, lingering injuries for years now. I think he has a neck problem. He's been having some problems. So I wonder how much longer we can get this elite level of play from Stafford.
Well, he's 36, and we've seen guys who've gone now. Aaron Rodgers is 40. Brady went to mid-40s, so it can be done. Pat?
Yeah, I was going to say, he still has 3 years remaining on his deal. Initially, only 15 of the $27 million in 2025 was guaranteed, and he had nothing guaranteed in 2026. So some of that guaranteed money now, I would assume, dispersed amongst the final 3 years of his contract, which at the start last year, $160 million total.
Right. The contract, the way it was before, they could have gotten out with really no penalty.
Yeah.
That made Stafford uncomfortable, reportedly. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it does feel like McVay and Stafford is a great combination. And that team can draft. I think McVay has a heavy hand in that, too. He knows who he likes. So I'm kind of excited for them.
Now that they finally have some draft picks to work with.
Yeah, I know.
With.
Well,
After it was them picks for
years. They
years.
get guys in the 4th round, though, who contribute.
Yeah, Nacua. I think
Bogus and I were talking about you can pay your quarterback a ton. If you can draft in the 3rd and 4th round and get productive starters, you can make it all work.
Give me them next year on the offseason Hard Knocks. That'd be fun.
Ooh. Perhaps one of the biggest headlines of yesterday didn't involve a contract situation or holdout, but yet a haircut. Enter Joe Burrow, reported to Bengals camp yesterday looking like Eminem. Buzzed his dome, dyed it bleach blonde. He was in Paris last month with former LSU teammate Justin Jefferson for a fashion show. I guess he has taken some of that love for fashion to his hair now.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's got it all figured out. I mean, everything he does, fashion-wise, football-wise, Joe Burrow, to me, is unassailable.
didn't he have like a backless jacket in Paris? Wasn't
It
that
worked.
the thing? Did it?
It was cut out. It looked like a kid.
It didn't work.
It
And his hair
so
looked
worked.
stupid.
Stupid.
Yeah, and the oversized T-shirt.
Like Pat
no
Boyle
thanks.
dresses a little like Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
They're both
and the
like-
hair
looks like a toolbox.
Yeah,
we
Pat's
discussed
got the
this in
hair.
hour one.
Okay, coming from you, Bogish, I think I'll take my fashion advice elsewhere.
Pat, okay.
How are your socks today?
I personally think Pat Boyle is quite fashionable. He's wearing these cool glasses that he's wearing
Pat
now.
Boyle came here one time dressed like a tennis player.
What's wrong with that?
Fine.
He came dressed in a Roger Federer ensemble that he bought at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, because I was playing tennis after. Are you talking about last year when I was sleeping here and then going straight to the U.S. Open
That
and then
one.
sleeping here and I bought a new outfit because I didn't want to shower?
Yeah, that one.
So, explain to us, Pat, what is Joe Burrow doing fashion-wise? Like, I think his hair is cool. He looked like an '80s bad guy before, like something out of Karate Kid, and now with the buzz cut, I think that guy has developed a really good fashion sense. I know in college Jamar Chase would buy all his clothes, but now I think he's got it figured out.
I'll just say, like, the dyeing your hair blonde, bleaching your hair blonde will never be not cool.
Yeah.
Never be out of style.
What about the buzz?
I think he
as a
could have kept.
football player, though, it's hot in training camp. It makes sense to me.
I think he could have kept the locks and dyed it blonde still, but buzz cut with the blonde, not a bad look.
Then
I'll
he
be
would
real.
go-
I mean, I know, Pearl. I know you watched the Beckham documentary. There was a lot about when he buzzed his hair. I'm not like that was a frenzy, and that was a great move for Beckham. I'm not getting these vibes from this cut from Burrow. I'm sorry. I don't think he pulls it off. He's a cool dude. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think this works.
I think it does. I think it's going to grow on you, EJ, especially if he wins some games. I mean, that's the bottom line. If they start out 7-1, I don't care what his hair looks like. It's working.
But he already had cool hair, though. That's the other thing. I thought he had a really cool haircut.
That's true. He had Boyle's hair.
But you got to switch it up, right? Like, if you're a guy like Joe Burrow, a fashionista, you can't just have the same haircut. You got to move around and do different things.
Damn right.
I'm right, Pat?
Yeah. I might be back here with some blonde hair next week now. I
no.
feel rejuvenated.
We
Joe
tried
Burrow.
that before.
Yeah, you've had blonde hair, haven't you?
Yeah, 2 years ago. Did it right before a wedding.
I remember that. One thing about Joe Burrow, I saw him in France. He has a pink tank top on, bright pink.
Yeah.
You could see his arms. I feel like the young people wear bright pink and a lot of different colors. I walk around New York City. Like, I could never pull that off. I couldn't wear a pink shirt and feel cool about myself in a million years.
I think you could.
Pink?
Pull it off.
It's all about
Maybe
how
not
you wear
a
it.
neon pink shirt, but a regular. Yeah, your shirt was very pink yesterday.
I wore it yesterday, yes.
Very pink.
Really?
I felt cool.
I almost bought pink underwear yesterday.
Wow.
I almost did.
Didn't
I like
need to
it.
hear that.
All right.
Express had a deal, and there was a 3-pack, and I almost moved to pink, but I was like, you know what, maybe next time.
EJ, you're fashionable, but you wear a lot of dark colors. I don't think of you as a bright pink kind of guy.
No, but I like to mix it up every now and then.
Yeah.
I will throw in a yellow. You know, I will throw in a teal. So I thought, hey, maybe I throw a pink here. Let's see what happens.
Do they make yellow and teal Knicks jerseys? Because that's about 60% of the wardrobe.
I mean, honestly, have you seen those City Connect uniforms that the NBA does every year? It wouldn't surprise me if the Knicks come out in yellow and teal or whatever next year.
I hope not. In Miami, Jordan Poyer has officially ditched. He's officially ditched the Buffalo Blue for Dolphin Teal. Speaking of teal, after switching teams to a division rival, the former All-Pro safety reported at Dolphins camp yesterday. He was asked what he's been able to impart to his new teammates. How about this answer from Jordan Poyer?
Playing against this team over the past few years, you know, you kind of you get a sense of, okay, if you get on top of this team, they might fold. And there's some teams that are, I mean, I'm just being honest, you know. So what is that that happens in those moments to where, like, okay, we get hit in the mouth? You know, what happens in those moments where, like, hey, we good, let's bounce back, we're good. The game, it's a 60-minute game.
Yes, you guys were talking about the Dolphins. How about that? Jordan Poyer slamming his new team as a squad that folds under pressure. He's not wrong.
Why'd you read that today? We have to wait till Maggie Gray gets here. So, because I love ribbing her about the Bills' vulnerabilities.
Yeah. Well, EJ put that on the story.
No,
list,
it's good. We got to bring that back tomorrow. Anything that makes Maggie nervous about the Bills in July is so fun to watch. Jordan Poyer, he's 33, and I understand what he's saying. What's he going to do in Miami, though? I don't even understand the point of this. I feel like he's just giving bulletin board material to his former team.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's hoping to rejuvenate his own career. I mean,
rejuvenate. There aren't a lot of, as you become a safety into your mid-30s, that's old.
Yeah, he took a big step back last year. First season without an interception, and for the first time in 7 years. And, I mean, just look at the contract. He got 1 year, $2 million.
Wait, but he said this about the Dolphins. So he walked in and said, hey, guys, nice to meet you.
Oh,
By
I thought
the
he was
way,
talking about his former team.
No. He was
No.
teammates.
So I thought, he's talking about the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Which I find interesting
Question?
because to me, when I saw this clip, I'm like, people say that about the Bills. So
that's why I thought he was talking about the Bills.
You were from one team that folds to another team that folds.
Yeah.
So I don't like the fact that even he was like, we over there, we're looking at, hey, that's those guys fold. I'm like, well,
we always finish in Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm like, that's what the Chiefs say about you.
Gotcha.
So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, EJ, because I thought he was talking about the Bills. Got it.
Really?
Yeah, that's not great either. That's not great for the Dolphins. You don't want your new safety to be like, this team is mentally soft. I don't think he's going to work there. I think
he better work now. He just called him out. He better keep them from folding. He better be the greatest leader of all time.
My Eagles signed Kevin Byard, former All-Pro out of Tennessee. Defensive backs late in their career, switching teams is never a great recipe.
Yeah, and then real quick, we got some breaking news. The Winter Olympics are coming back to Salt Lake City, 2034. City last hosted the Winter Games in 2002.
What a time to be alive in Salt Lake City. They're getting the hockey team, getting the Olympics back.
Oh, right. Did they ever pick a name?
All-Star game.
Not yet.
They have a bunch of cool options.
Yeah.
Utah Utes.
Yeah, we got groomers running wild in Salt Lake City.
Well, Kyle Filipowski had a crazy good summer league, even though he might be involved in some sort of cult or something.
It's football, it's up.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. Cam Rising's back for his 14th season in college football.
Is he the one? Can he play again next year?
Yes, he's got another
He was
year.
like, I think I'm good now.
He was in the quarterback room in Texas with Shane Buechele, who's been out of football for 4 years. But Cam Rising's back. I'm a full-on
Shane
fan.
Buechele is dating B. Arthur right now. That's how old he is.
All right. Okay.
Hey, other Olympic news, by the way. Coco Gauff is our female flag bearer.
Oh, really?
With LeBron.
Oh, that's a fun choice.
And apparently there's some kind of Canadian women's your adopted nation, you treasonous, you know what. The Canadian women's soccer team apparently has been trying to spy on New Zealand ahead of their first Olympic soccer match, and they just sent 2 assistant coaches home. They were flying drones over New Zealand practice to allegedly try to steal some secrets.
Is that so?
That is so.
We know Bill Belichick's doing this summer.
My buddy's ex-girlfriend is actually the captain of the Canadian national soccer team.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm appalled right now.
Wow. You should call him and tell him that she's on a bad squad.
Yeah,
he did a good job getting rid of her. He's a cheat.
Just have Zoo go to Zoo. Have them send you to Paris and be the spy for Canada soccer. Hey, what it do, baby?
Yeah,
what
they
you
don't
guys?
love me.
What kind of formation we running out?
Zoo is the least anonymous person ever.
You guys know the Golden Girls? How about we watch a couple episodes?
Yeah.
Question?
Coming back.
Golden Girls and chill.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. Zoo is going to break down the New Zealand women's soccer team like no one else can. Right here on the Maggie Perloff Show.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
There is an upset brewing. Of course, I'm talking about the Maggie and Perloff Elite 8 of our sitcom bracket. Today we got Seinfeld going up against I Love Lucy and Simpsons going up against The Office. Andrew Bogusch voted for The Office. Andrew's in for Maggie today. And The Office is beating The Simpsons. Now that's a heavyweight battle. The Office is a very popular show, a 2 seed going against the number 1 seed. Would you be surprised if The Office won?
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I think the difference could surprise me, but I would not be surprised if The Office won.
All right. We've been talking all show about CeeDee Lamb holding out with the Cowboys. Now, there's also a situation in San Francisco. Brandon Aiyuk reportedly will be there in Niners camp. I kind of like what the Niners are doing this whole thing in the sense that it is do or die in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan's been at the brink of a Super Bowl. I'm not worried about 3 years from now and the contract situation. It's like I'm putting all my eggs into this year's basket, and I am desperately trying to get over the hump because I'm just dying losing these close Super Bowls. So I don't care if Brandon Aiyuk's gone in 3 years. Right now, I'm playing hardball with him and keeping him. And unless it's a pretty good first-round pick, I'm not even dealing him.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Niners have a lot of the leverage here because they have the safety net. We think in Ricky Pearsall, the first-round pick this year. They still have Debo. They still have CMC. They still have Kittle. So they certainly need Brandon Aiyuk. But, in Dallas, after CeeDee Lamb, who is Dak throwing the football to?
Brandon Cooks?
Right. So, exactly.
Yeah.
So, the Niners have the ability to kind of weather a storm here. And Aiyuk has this kind of, you can see where he fits in the jigsaw puzzle, so to speak. But they don't have to bend over backwards to figure this out with him contractually right now.
Absolutely. The funny thing about Aiyuk is I don't know how you think of him as a receiver. He's not necessarily a speedster like Tyreek Hill, but his average per catch is all time. He was at 17.9 yards a catch last year. He really gets downfield. And yes. Brock Purdy's not exactly the biggest quarterback. Seems like they have a downfield chemistry that is very, very important for this team.
And everything just fits together so well. All those guys are complementary. They're not redundant. They all do different things. And that's why they're so hard to figure out and game plan for defensively. But you said it yesterday, what's also hard to tell, though, is just how good they all are individually since the collective group makes them better because you can't focus on any one of them more than you would in another scenario. So Aiyuk, if he becomes a number 1 receiver somewhere else, can he repeat that same impact?
Yeah.
Or because now he gets more focus, does he skew back towards the average, so to speak.
Right, like New England wanted to trade for him reportedly.
Yeah, or the
like,
Commanders.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
they have
Commanders,
McLaurin, so that helps,
I
obviously.
I could see the Commanders worried, but if he went to New England, it would be really hard. Who's throwing him the ball?
Yeah.
Bailey Zappi or I don't even know.
Well, no, Jacoby Brissett. They said yesterday
Brissett,
that right now he's QB1.
Right, that makes sense. So Aiyuk may or may not be there long term, but it does really seem like it's shaping up that he'll be there for now. John Lynch sort of said you could still call me with a trade offer. I think he stays, and this makes sense. If I had made you rank these weapons, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Aiyuk, on the spot, Andrew Bogus sitting in for Maggie Gray. What's your instinct?
So I'm going to take the half easy way out. I can confidently say that Aiyuk is the fourth of that list. I don't know how to put the top three ahead because Deebo is my favorite player in the NFL.
And they lost when Deebo got hurt last year. They lost games to Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Minnesota. They missed Deebo.
And I think you and I had a back and forth about that because there's been a lot written about what they do per play, yardage-wise, when McCaffrey is out there. But then there's just as many arguments that Deebo's more important than McCaffrey's production. So they're 1 and 2, and then Kittle goes 3 because on top of the pass catching, he is an all-time blocking tight end as well. So that just leaves Aiyuk at that 4 spot, which is why he's the expendable one in this conversation right now.
I think you could argue that Kittle is getting old for a tight end. I mean, Travis Kelce.
Longevity,
and
yes.
also, too.
Okay.
And Kittle lost 30 pounds and put it back on, so there's some health concerns. By the way, we have quickly, Pete, I understand there was a sitcom battle royale yesterday's vote. What happened?
Well, we were talking about the Married with Children and Friends matchup. That finished tied.
Not on my end.
Well, on my end, I see tied, 50-50.
But Friends is highlighted as the winner.
Yeah, guys, Friends is officially the winner.
Why?
Because it's highlighted. So Twitter has determined that it's the winner. But what's weird, though, is it says 404 votes. So if it's 50-50, that would mean that it had to have been even.
Right.
So what do we do? What do we do here?
All right. Well, we have to take a break. We have to go to some judges here. We might have to call Maggie on vacation. This is big news. But coming up, we have...
Friends win on PKs?
Yeah. We have something coming up that is even more controversial, even than this 50-50 tie. There's a list of the best college mascots. I'm telling you right now, people are not going to like the number 5 on this list. We're going to talk to the writer, Dan Lyons, coming up next. And we'll also break down Big Ten Media Day going on. Lots of conference realignment talk. Lots of excitement for a certain program in Ohio. Lots to break down college football-wise and sitcom bracket-wise. A lot of fun right here, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Folks, the grand finale under the golden arches of the stadium. Grimace, our favorite purple pitcher from McDonaldland, is ready to deliver the final course. He winds up with a flare, and here comes the pitch, a sizzling fastball. The batter takes a swing, and it's a big McMiss. Strike 3. Grimace has done it. He's grilled the competition and wrapped this game up like a fresh McDouble. As he dances around the mound, the crowd is loving it. Absolutely loving it. What a delectable performance by Grimace, the shake master turned strike master.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. Maggie is still on vacation. We'll be back tomorrow. Andrew Bogusch is sitting in. Now, Maggie, I don't want to disclose her location, but she is in prime Big Ten territory. Probably stop in Camp Randall. I'm not really sure what her plans are. She's apparently on a lake somewhere. There was a drive through Cleveland. There was a lot of travel mishaps.
Cleveland was involved?
Cleveland was involved. I don't know if it ever happened. She said something about renting a car in Cleveland and driving. I have no idea. We'll hear all about it tomorrow.
Yeah, because I know where she is, and Cleveland shouldn't be involved.
Well, you remember last week, the tech outage, travel was really hard. And you know what is one of the reasons I know all about the travel is because I follow all these college football writers. And apparently getting back and forth from various media days has been very, very difficult, including Big Ten, which is in Indianapolis. Just to set the scene real quick about what's happening there, I saw a picture. There's a giant Oregon duck floating on that really cool river in Indianapolis because the West is coming for the Big Ten. That's not the main reason I want to have our next guest, Dan Lyons from Athlon Sports. He put out a list of mascots that we'll get to in a second. But Dan, first, before we get into your mascot list, which is causing a lot of controversy here, I want to talk about Big Ten Media Day. Thanks for joining us. What is the mood having these former Pac-12 teams coming to the Big Ten? Or is there a culture clash, or is it all working out?
It's been interesting. It's certainly not something that you know, when you think Big Ten, you're not thinking like reporters from the LA Times or the Orange County Register. So that's been, you know, it's been a little bit of a preview. We'll have the 2 LA schools today in Indy, and then the 2 Pacific Northwest schools, I believe, are tomorrow on the final day. So yesterday was all pretty classic Big Ten, Ohio State, Wisconsin. I guess Rutgers is classic Big Ten at this point. And then we're going to get the West Coast schools. Yeah, truly.
I'm surprised Rutgers isn't invited.
But Rutgers is good this year. That's what
true. You got to bring
Rutgers is going
Gianna.
to be pretty.
Yeah,
they're going to be pretty decent this year, I think.
Oh, that's annoying. Dan, I heard an argument. This is a bigger picture that some people think it's going to be one of the greatest college football seasons of all time because everyone's going to want to see Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC. Everyone's going to want to see Oregon, Ohio State, that these we complain about the conferences going away, but I'm sensing it too. It might be the video game as well coming out. There is buzz around college football. You were at SEC Media Day last week. You're Big Ten now. Does the sort of confluence of all these teams add to the excitement? Are you feeling that?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a rare buzz around the sport. The video game does play a big part. I think people who, you know, weren't in college in when the last video game came out may not understand just how big that was, especially drawing in a lot of, you know, more casual fans who do love, you know, their Madden and their NCAA footballs. But also, obviously, we're getting just crazy matchups with Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC, and then the 4 schools coming to the Big Ten. Even the Big 12 is a very deep league now after adding the 4 other Pac-12 schools. So yeah, I do think that even though a lot of us are probably not thrilled about the loss of rivalries and the loss of tradition in a lot of ways, in the immediate term, there's certainly something to be said for, you know, we're going to get Texas and Oklahoma playing big games like every single week. And just the depth of these leagues now. So there's definitely a push-pull, but you do feel, you know, something different is in the air at these events.
Dan, Ohio State head coach Ryan Day was in a lot of crosshairs yesterday. What's the right level of critique of his program, like the recent results of his program in your mind?
It's really tough because, you know, how many coaches out there win 88% of their games? I think it might be he, and I think Dabo Swinney's up there too. By any standard, you know, he's done an absolutely incredible job. He's winning at a similar, if not higher clip than Urban Meyer. But Urban never lost to Michigan, and Ryan's lost to Michigan 3 times. I actually think you can draw kind of a parallel between where Ohio State is this year and where Michigan was the last couple of years under Jim Harbaugh, where, you know, obviously a great program, winning a ton of games, but just can't quite get over the hurdle for those biggest, most important games. And when it comes to college football, like Michigan and Ohio State is, for those schools, you know, about as important as winning a national title, especially if you're not winning those games consistently. So I think the pressure is fair, but I don't think the pressure is something that would exist at just about any other program. So it's really interesting because, you know, even other big rivalry games probably don't care quite as much as that when it comes to like, oh, you're winning, you know, you're basically losing 1 game a year tops, but, you know, Michigan has become an issue that is call for concern. And you heard it from the Ohio State guys yesterday. Jack Sawyer, the defensive end, talked at length about how disappointing it was to not get his pair of gold pants at this point, which is the little token that Ohio State players get for beating Michigan. When, you know, a couple of years ago under Urban, they never lost to Michigan. It was every single year, even close, blowout, whatever. So I definitely think that it is not just a thing of like fans being, you know, out of control with expectations. It exists within the program too.
There's so much talent there. The fact that Jack Sawyer is still in, like guys we know on defense and JTT. I mean, this has got to be the year. Let me ask real quick where we stand on conference expansion. Feels like the SEC and the Big Ten both put the brakes a little bit, at least saying publicly, oh, we like where we're at. Is that the real vibe there? Or do you think that we are sort of heading towards a gigantic, even bigger Big Ten and even bigger SEC very soon?
It's hard to know because these last couple rounds moved in such silence. Like Texas, Oklahoma broke, I believe, the 3rd day of SEC Media Days a couple of years ago in 2021. And Greg Sankey even joked about that when he was up, I think on the third day of media days this year, where he was like, "Oh, we don't have any announcements coming. Don't worry." So I got the sense the SEC is probably in wait and see mode. I don't think that there's any real impetus for them to jump back into Florida or back into South Carolina with the two obvious schools, Florida State and Clemson, who are very clearly trying to get out the ACC. The Big Ten is a little more interesting. They've been a little more trigger happy, I think, in doing some of these moves, and they don't have the footprint in the Southeast that I think that they would probably like to get, especially with a Florida State. They've pretty clearly gone coast to coast at this point and aren't super worried about keeping that Midwestern identity so pure anyway. But at a certain point, how unwieldy is a 20-team conference? Is it that much more unwieldy than an 18? I don't know. But I'd be a little surprised if we saw anything this year. It sounds like it's not expected that Clemson and Florida State are going to make any moves out of the conference in time for next season out of the ACC. The Big 12 is obviously always an interesting variable just because their leadership is so, gung-ho on disrupting the sport and whatnot. And there have been talks about the ACC schools potentially looking there, even though it's not a huge money jump for them. That would feel to me like kind of we just need to get out at all costs, and this is the quickest option, which is probably not the wise move. So I kind of don't expect that we'll see a giant move like we have the last 3 seasons in a row. But you can never count it out, just as we're in such a wild era for this sport at this point.
Dan, how many Big Ten schools have a legitimate chance at the playoff in your mind?
I think there's quite a few. I think Ohio State obviously, probably needs to get there. You have some real questions about where things are going if this level of roster doesn't make it to a 12-team playoff. Oregon, I think, is not far behind, bringing in Dylan Gabriel, returning a lot of the players from last year's team, which only lost to Washington, was probably one of the most talented teams in the country. And then beyond that, I wouldn't count out Michigan. I don't think the offense will be quite as explosive, but the defense should be very good. You have questions about Sharon Moore, but he did an incredible job leading that team down the stretch last season during Harbaugh's suspension. Penn State as well, not an unflawed team, but a very good defense, a veteran quarterback who, if they can find a way for him to make some more explosive plays through the air, they have a roster that, has been on the precipice of what would have been a 12-team playoff a few times, and now they have that opportunity. And then there's a lot of unknown, but, teams like Wisconsin and USC with Miller Moss, who had a really good bowl game. I think kind of the beauty of the 12-team is with the 14 playoff, there weren't that many surprises in terms of who was in the mix, because you have to have a talent at a certain threshold, a roster at a certain threshold of talent. Now, you could have a really special season from a school that, isn't a traditional power, and they go 10-2 in a Power 4 league, and they're right in the mix. So I would say there's probably 5 or 6 teams that have a realistic shot.
Wow.
But guys teams could always jump up. It's hard to know, especially I'm not going to pretend Rutgers to go to the college football playoff, but that team brings back a lot, and they have a very easy schedule. So if they win 9 or 10 games, you can't really write anyone out when there's this much leeway. But I would say probably 4 or 5 feels like the right number, and realistically, 4 is probably the top.
Wow, that's a lot, because you have the SEC too. We're talking to senior college football writer at Athlon Sports, Dan Lyons. Okay. That's enough of the hard football talk. You published a list that caused some controversy here, Dan. The top 5 college football mascots. And some of them were no-brainers. Can I just read the list for people, and then you can defend it? Number 5, Brutus Buckeye, of course, big deal. Everyone knows Brutus. Number 4, I already have a little issue. Cosmo the Cougar, BYU. Number 3, we have Ralphie the Buffalo, of course. You don't mess with Ralphie. And then number 2, the Stanford Tree. Okay. And number 1, the Oregon Duck. We're on in Oregon. The Oregon Duck is awesome. But let's start with the Stanford Tree. Andrew Bogusch, I know you thought this was an interesting choice. Dan, defend the tree.
I love chaos when it comes to mascots. I think that's one of the special things about college football. it's not all corporatized, even though it seems like it's going in that direction in a lot of ways. So you have a thing with Stanford Tree, which is not even an official mascot. It's the band's mascot. It recreates itself every year. It's been arrested at least once, maybe multiple times. It's gotten suspended, every few years for something. I love just the very homemade style of it. The Stanford Tree, for those who don't know, the person who is basically chosen to be the tree designs their own costume. So some years you have like a pretty standard looking evergreen with a crazy face, and then some years they decide, oh, we're going to be a palm tree this year with a giant tongue sticking out. One year, a couple years ago, it was like very multicolored, so there were lots of teals and cardinals, and didn't look very green at all, and that was fine. So it's just an ever-evolving concern. All of the tree mascots are held in a wing of the school library, and if the alumni come and want to take their mascot out and go hang out at a game, like you might see 4 or 5 trees at a homecoming. It's so different from like every other mascot experience, I feel, and a lot of people just absolutely hate it, and I respect that. But I don't know. I think that there's something so unique and special about it, and just iconoclastic, honestly. And you get that with a lot of like the mascots that I included. The Oregon Duck is a little more, standard mascot, but also, might chug a box of Frosted Flakes on College game day. So I really enjoy mascots who aren't just doing like the normal mascot stuff and who might get in a little bit of trouble sometimes.
And Dan, I don't want any wrong information here. I have zero objections with the Stanford Tree being on your list here, because a mascot should be illogical in my mind. And you just laid out why this mascot makes no sense. It's disconnected from reality like that. That's what I want. If I had to object, Cosmo the Cougar might be the one thing I would take off here, but that's nitpicking.
And I'll say my objection is, if you're going to put animals on there, you have Ralphie on there, where's Uga? I feel like that was the biggest snub to me.
I love Uga. I love all the dogs. I think that's not a particularly hot take. I mentioned afterwards, like if I was going longer than 5, put in Reveille, put in Smokey. I think the dogs that are just hanging out on the sidelines having a great time just can all stay for me. It was tough. I think Ralphie I put in as the live mascot representative just because that entrance is so iconic and so just incredible. Before Coach Prime was in Colorado, if you ask anyone to name one thing about that program, especially during the 10 to 15 years where they were not winning very many games, it was probably Ralphie coming out. That's just an electric entrance, as good as any in the sport. So that was kind of my impetus putting them. Cosmo, I think, is probably the sleeper here because it's from a lesser known program. They're Big 12 now, and BYU has legions of fans. But Cosmo is probably the most athletic mascot in college sports. He jumps through rings of fire. He's gone skydiving. He is just like kind of, if they were doing NIL for mascots, I think it would probably be pretty inappropriate in Provo, but like Red Bull would be all over Cosmo. So I just
Red Bull at BYU, they're famously don't do caffeine, dude. You can't have Red Bull.
I'm sure they probably don't have caffeine-free Red Bull, but
what would be the point?
Just if you really like that Red Bull flavor. Cosmo is wild. Go check out some YouTube clips. That Cougar is doing some crazy stuff, getting vaulted from beyond the 3-point line of basketball games to dunk, just like about as athletic as any mascot you'll find out there.
Okay, senior college football writer Dan Lyons, Athlon Sports. Last question for me: who do you think is the most dangerous mascot, and including live animals? Because I have a choice. I'm curious who jumps to mind for you.
First thing that comes to mind is it has to be Bevo after that bowl game incident with Uga a couple years ago, where I think a photographer got injured and Uga almost got sent to the doghouse in the sky. I wouldn't want to mess with Bevo.
Yeah, Bevo's horns are crazy. That jumped on, but I think Auburn's War Eagle is insane because if that thing is flying around the stadium for real. I thought it was some sort of like video show or something.
CGI?
All of a sudden, a bird is 2 feet over my head, a bird of prey. So I think the War Eagle is pretty dangerous as well, Dan. I think you're underestimating that.
I think it's a fair choice. Obviously, Mike the Tiger as well. He doesn't make his way to the stadium anymore, but Yeah, they used to parade a live tiger around Tiger Stadium before night games when everyone at LSU has been tailgating for 4 days. So, I'm happy that there were no incidents, at least in the recent years with Mike. Probably the right call not to have him come to the stadium anymore, but pretty illustrative of what college football is when it comes to mascots. It kind of like there are rules, but sometimes you question whether there are actually rules.
Dan, we'll let you go real quick. Who's a big speaker today at the Big Ten Media Days? Who should we look out for?
I think Lincoln Riley will be interesting. I'll double check. I think that the LA teams are both today. Not unlike Ryan Day, lots of wins, lots of success, but hasn't gotten to the mountaintop. And entering the Big Ten, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on USC to prove that, not only can they get back to winning double-digit games every year, but now a much more daunting schedule, and then coming to the Midwest, coming to the East Coast occasionally. So I think he's going to have some really interesting questions to answer today.
Awesome. Dan Lyons, Athlon Sports. Appreciate the time. Have fun the rest of the Big Ten.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, I'm sold on the Stanford tree. I actually wasn't aware of that tradition. I'm actually going to be at Stanford in a couple of weeks.
Whoa.
Yes, my in-laws live out there. And
that's right. This is vacation, not work, right?
Yeah, not work. I mean, there's really not much football-wise to report there. There's no Harbaugh. Who's that?
There's no Andrew Luck wandering on the campus.
Toby Gerhardt, remember him?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Stanford will have some good offensive linemen. It's a really beautiful campus. I got to find the tree now. This is my new mission. That's a lot of fun. Coming up, we're going to continue the college football talk. We have a special college football great debate. Our weekly great debate has to do with stadium. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's next right here, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Maddie and AJ, blurry eyed and rough. Next took a shot like an 8 morning cough. Philly cheesesteaks haunt their dreams like a greasy ghost. Andrew Bogusch, lost in the fog of golf. Bogusch can't see his way. People out his voice in his ears every day. Tom Brady's glory, it's all too much. Andrew Bogusch needs a break. Bogusch has had enough of Pete. Freedom from Bilotti, that's what Bogusch needs. People he won't leave alone. His voice keeps ringing in his headphones like a drone. Oh, get out of Bogusch's head. People, can't you see? Bogusch trying to be free in the sea of noise. Let Bogusch find his peace. Oh, get out of Bogusch's head. People. Sitting in my room, scrolling through the tube, watching Maggie and Perloff, getting in the groove. Found a viewer in the chat, his name's Delta 9 Brian. Spitting fire comments, he's the #1 fan. Got his fingers moving, stepping non-stop. Dropping all the knowledge, never gonna fly. Talking about Ryan, he's the king of the chat. With his love for the show, there ain't no doubt. Every episode, he's always in the mix.
Maggie's got some giant feet, they're the talk of the town. When she walks the sidewalk crack, she's bringing buildings down. She tried to buy some shoes, but they said no way. Now she's wearing boat sails just to get through the day. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on poles, creating legs for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make a mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's all in good fun. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on poles, creating legs for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make a mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's all in good fun. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. So here's to Maggie and her feet so grand. She's the funniest girl in all the land. With her giant feet, she's never beat. Maggie's big feet make life so sweet.
The Great Debate Series.
All right, every Wednesday we do the Great Debate here on the Maggie and Perloff Show. Maggie's out today, but we will continue. Andrew Bogish is sitting in. So we just did a segment where we were debating the top 5 college football mascots. We figured we keep the theme going, and we are going to do the best college football stadium. Now, listen, we talked about this. EA Sports had their college football home field advantage rankings, and Texas A&M came in number 1. That was kind of a weird choice in a lot of people's eyes, but we have a different criteria. We're just doing the best, not which gives the team the best advantage, what's the best combination of atmosphere, coolness, and that doesn't mean we've even been to these stadiums. You get a sense on TV. So we're going to go around the room. Now, here's the rules for the Great Debate. You have to pick one that someone else didn't pick. So I want to go around. We're going to get Pat Boyle in here. I want to go last because...
You want to go last?
I want to go last because there's less pressure going last. Why don't we start with you, Andrew Bogish? How are you going to start us off? Great Debate, best college football stadium in the land.
So I wanted to make my choice based on a place I've been to.
Okay.
And most of the colleges that I've been to have been on the old 1AA current FCS level.
That's cool.
So, like, you know, Harvard and Yale playing historic places.
Yep.
Franklin Field in Philly is a nice place to go. Jack Coffey Field at Fordham, my beloved alma mater, doesn't really cut it in terms of atmosphere. But I have been to Michie Stadium in West Point. So I'm going America. I'm going an Army game. The stadium in and of itself is a stadium. It's not, but it is located in a beautiful part of New York State, and then all the pomp and circumstance of Army football. And also, oddly for me, I was there rooting for the opposing team, so I felt like you rooting for Canada men's basketball, rooting against Army and against the country. But it is a bucket list place to go. It is easily, with all due respect to Navy and Air Force, if you're going to one service academy game, you've got to go to an Army game at Michie Stadium.
Okay, I love it. All right, let's go to you, Big Zoo. What's your favorite college football stadium, or what is the best college football stadium?
Oh, my favorite and the best is Milan Puskar Stadium down there in old Morgantown, West Virginia. Let me tell you something. Now, when you have a stadium that is built for college football that also has a parking lot that doubles up, and on the other side of that parking lot is a hospital, prepared for all of the drunkards that are coming home from the Morgantown.
The triage unit.
Yeah. Oh, baby. You're set for a good time. And let me tell you, every single game that I went there, it was always fun. The atmosphere is incredible. Now they've done renovations on the stadium after I left, and they, took all of my money. They fixed everything up for the new kids, but
who have since burned it down several times over.
Hey, you know what? When they're hosting a college football playoff game in December this year, it's going to be all the rave when everyone sings Country Roads, baby, because
that's pretty cool. And I don't know how you sit on the couch when it's on fire. But question, Zoo, who was a quarterback when you were there?
So we had a lot. We had Paul Millard. We had Will Greer. We had Skylar Howard. We had a bevy.
Oh, you missed not the Pat White era, not going back that far.
No, I was. So my freshman year was the year after Geno Smith and everybody left.
Oh, you missed Geno. Oh, that
Quinn
was
Trickett also was a quarterback of mine.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, Pat Boyle, noted Notre Dame fan. Curious where you were going. The best college football stadium.
Yeah, I could throw out Notre Dame, but in light of not being biased and being honest, I don't know how Tiger Stadium, Death Valley, LSU doesn't get a mention here.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. Let me just, first of all, 102,321 official capacity. 5th largest stadium in college football, 7th largest stadium in the world. And let me just read you some of the quotes here, by the way, from some of the all-time greats. You had Bear Bryant once remarked that Baton Rouge happens to be the worst place in the world for a visiting team. It's like being inside a drum. You've also had, former Indiana coach Terry Hopner said, that's as exciting an environment as you can have. We had communication problems we haven't had at Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah,
so it's Saturday night, Death
imagine.
Valley, LSU, Baton Rouge. I mean, they barely sell alcohol near the student section. That's how dangerous it is.
Oh, man. Yeah, Zoo, I got to be honest. I think LSU could give West Virginia a run. I know West Virginia is not allowed to be on the greatest party school list because it's such a party school. But LSU on a Saturday night, I have unfortunately not been. I heard it's just the wildest thing ever.
I mean, they're banning the drinking from the student section. West Virginia is promoting it, so let's just talk about environments.
Well, what does that say though? They're promoting it because obviously your West Virginia fans aren't rowdy enough.
They got nothing else in their lives but West Virginia football and Walmart. That's what West Virginia does.
All right, that leaves me. I'm going bigger than all of you.
Wait, does it leave you? You wanted to go last. Have you gone to EJ yet?
Hello.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. But EJ's a Miami Hurricanes fan, so
Hard Rock Stadium doesn't count.
Yeah. And the Orange Bowl, I think
Hard Rock is not being mentioned here, guys.
Yeah. I think the Orange Bowl, I think there's more dead bodies than actual fans there. That place is so dangerous. I ever tell you when I almost got died by lightning strike from that metal can of the Orange Bowl? Anyway, EJ, what do you got?
Okay, so I think the one that's obviously missing is what we now call the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. There's everything that is perfect about it. It is a national historic landmark. I don't think any other stadiums are. And you have the perfect setting. You got the California sun. You got the sunset in the background. You got the mountains in the background. It is just perfect. Now, it's unfortunate what's happened to UCLA football that has not made this the home field advantage it should be. But if we're going just stadiums and stadium atmosphere and aura, there is no greater aura when it comes to college football stadiums than going down to Pasadena, California, and heading to the Rose Bowl. That is an easy pick for me.
You see the light, New Year's Day, seeing that light come in around 5 Eastern time. There's nothing prettier than the Rose Bowl.
It is legit a top 5 bucket list sports thing for me to do.
I have actually not been to the Rose Bowl. I've been to the Coliseum several times. Put that at the bottom of your bucket list. That is a mess. Okay, a lot of history there too. As I mentioned, I'm going big. I'm going with the big house. So we haven't really done one of the Big Ten powers. We have gigantic Ohio State, gigantic Penn State, but the biggest of them all in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I wanted to have a Big Ten school. I think Michigan is better than the Horseshoe. I think it's better than Penn State, although the whiteout is crazy. Just something about there is special, and there's so many people, and they are drunk there too. I know Michigan's a very good school, but they definitely party. And I feel like something about that, too, it is a real home. You just feel the history there a little more so. I believe it or not, I found Ohio State disappointing as a fan experience.
Really?
I don't know what it was. I've been there 3 times, and every time it was kind of gray out. The Big House, for my experience, was a little more special. I give it the slight edge. I'm going with Michigan. So let's recap. Andrew Bogus, you have Army. Big Zoo, you have West Virginia. Pat Boyle went with LSU, Death Valley. And EJ went with the Rose Bowl. I love the Rose Bowl, but it's the bowl game itself. UCLA football, not exactly these days.
Yeah, but EJ still wins.
Yeah.
That is.
No, I don't know.
No.
I know.
New Year's Day, sun setting, like you said, that there is nothing prettier. It's painted sideline.
That's
and
one
team
game.
Colors.
That's one game.
I don't care.
That's one game.
I don't care.
All right. Well, EJ, you got to put up a poll, and you could call in, of course, with your favorite college football stadium, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Is there any big snubs here that jump to mind? And I'm thinking of a certain school. Pat Boyle is here. He's wearing Notre Dame green. How come you didn't go with Notre Dame? Well, I've heard mixed reviews of the actual fan experience there.
Yeah, so I've been to Notre Dame Stadium once, and they were playing USC, and it was a night game, so I'm thinking huge atmosphere, tailgate, and this is about 4 years ago, so I was like 25, 26, not too far removed from college, and I'm hoping for a tailgate where I'm like getting lost in a sea of bodies. And I went with my friend and his girlfriend. His girlfriend played field hockey at Notre Dame, so she, like all of her former teammates and friends there. I'm expecting a gigantic tailgate. We were, I don't know, like a couple 100 feet outside the stadium. Not that impressive, if I'm being honest. Now, the atmosphere inside the stadium was great. It was loud. It wasn't deafening. They beat USC pretty handily. That was the Keaton Slovis year. But I was expecting madness, utter chaos. Yeah. I literally put myself through a table and I got a small round of applause.
Yeah, it's a little civilized.
It was too civilized.
Obviously a special place. Kelly Jerome in the chat, Infinity Sports Radio YouTube channel, says Clemson, Death Valley. Been there. That's nuts. Mm-hmm. Because first of all, Clemson's out in the middle of nowhere. The opening scene where they run past the rock, that is all time. Yeah. I was very impressed with Clemson. Tennessee and Alabama, by the way, if their fans are listening, I think those are quite popular stadiums as well.
Certainly Tennessee, and honorable mention to one of our favorite spots in this country for our network in Boise, Idaho.
Oh,
because the blue surf and the mountains.
Bucket list.
It's beautiful.
Yes, bucket list. I've been to BYU in Utah. When you have a college football game and you're looking out on the mountains in the fall, there is nothing more beautiful. All right. Weigh in. Favorite college football stadium, 855-212-4227. Pat Boyle, is there time for some sports updates?
Yes, sir. Getting to some of the final baseball highlights that we haven't hit on yet. 2 teams floundering around in the AL wildcard race, and at the bottom of the AL East, Rays and Blue Jays opened a 3-game set last night. The big swing came in the top of the 5th.
And now Brandon Lau, who pinned Varsho up against the wall his first time. For now, here's one that'll go over the wall. Deep to right and on its way. Gone. Home run. Brandon Lau. Wow. Nobody could jump up and get that one. And the Rays lead is 3-0 in Toronto.
Rays Radio, Brandon Lau's 2-run bomb was the decisive swing. Rays beat the Blue Jays 4-2. What a disappointing season it's been for Toronto. They're now 45-55. 10 games under. See if Vladdy gets. Yeah. You think they trade Vladdy, Bogus?
It was interesting that he backed off this summer of his "I'll never play for the Yankees" comment, which certainly seems to lead me to that something's going on there. And they're going in the wrong direction with what they thought was a really significant nucleus. They might need to make a trade, and I'd rather keep Bo Bichette than Vladdy.
I agree.
Really? Wow. Oof. That seems a bit hot to me.
His power numbers have significantly decreased year by year. He's actually more of a contact hitter now. But again, he's huge. He's a massive dude. And he's Vlad Guerrero's kid. So you would expect the power to be there. But for his power numbers, his home run numbers have dropped so far. Again, his batting average, I think last time I checked, was 290. So he's hitting at a high average. But what does he give you if he's only hitting?
Right.
I mean, if he finishes with like 22 home runs this year, like that'll be good for him. I mean, this guy hit 45 a couple years ago,
and the body scares me. Like, and any minute a knee could go. We could all of a sudden have 25 extra pounds that we don't need. Like that scares me too.
He needs to be in
we saw that with Prince Fielder too.
Yeah,
where the body fell apart towards the end with him,
and he's due for a contract extension next year. So,
Right.
are you going to pay him with the likes of Bryce Harper, close to $28-30 million a year?
Nah.
Someone might.
Someone will.
Yeah.
But Blue Jays don't need to do it.
I saw on the show that Vlad Jr. is like my favorite player in Major League Baseball. If they break up the Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero tandem, that would be maybe one of the most disappointing young core to be broken up in baseball in a while to me. Like this team looked like they were destined to be a contender.
Yep.
Yeah, and instead they stink. A couple of San Diego All-Stars went back-to-back in a belly-to-belly. Luis Arias and Jurickson Profar with back-to-back dingers. Padres shut out the Nats 4-zip. And in Cleveland, Jose Ramirez hit a go-ahead solo shot in the fifth. Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase locked down his 30th save. Cleveland beats the Tigers 5-4. They are now at 60 wins. NFL training camp news. All 32 teams will have started training camp now by the end of the day. We've hit on it throughout the show, but again, the biggest headline, Cowboys superstar receiver CeeDee Lamb holding out of training camp, not expected to report today with the rest of the team. Lamb has been looking for a contract extension all offseason that will pay him similar to Justin Jefferson, who got his new deal last month for 4 years and $140 million with $110 million guaranteed. Lamb heading into the final year of his deal, which includes $18 million. Just for some context, I know it's a totally different position, but remember last year, Zach Martin, one of the best guards in the history of the sport, held out of training camp for 3 weeks, and he was fined, accumulated fines of basically $1 million before he got his deal reworked.
Yeah, I mean, CeeDee Lamb is going to get paid to the point where $1 million is not going to matter. It's not just CeeDee Lamb, though. It's that there's no new deal for Dak. There's no new deal for Micah Parsons. And as we've been talking about, Mike McCarthy could be on his way out. Feels like it's getting a little crazy there, I admit. I still think they're a playoff team. Andrew Bogusch does not. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, and at the end of the day, it's still going to be Jerry Jones. So even if they're trying to be smart here by having all of these staring contests and maybe hitting the reset button for this year, do you trust those same guys to pick the new batch of Cowboys for next season?
I would. Only because we saw them move on from the Tony Romo and Jason Witten era, and we have this iteration of the Cowboys, and like they keep falling in the playoffs, but they've built a good team. They just haven't built teams that have been champions.
Yeah, but that's the point. I mean, they cannot build a team that can win a championship. It appears they don't want to rebuild a new team that does the same thing that these Dak teams do.
No, but I'm just saying, like, we've seen them have an era of older players. This is not an era of old players, but we've seen them have a talented group, have to tear it down, and build it back up to a talented group. Now, finding the mixture to get them over the hump, something they haven't been able to do. But in terms of rebuilding, I would trust the Cowboys, perhaps, to be honest, because they've shown they could do it.
49ers star receiver Brandon Aiyuk has reported for training camp despite an official trade request last week, but it's left to be seen whether he could be a hold-in, a.k.a. whether he will practice with the team at camp or not. 49ers front office has stated they will not move Brandon Aiyuk, but then yesterday GM John Lynch, maybe a little change of the tune here in terms of whether or not Aiyuk could be traded before the season starts.
No absolutes there. We fully intend on Brandon being a Niner moving forward. We're always open to listen to things. But like I said, we expect Brandon to be an integral part of our team like he has been, and excited about that.
So now it's no absolutes.
Oh, boy. Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
Unpack.
I think he actually stays there. I don't think anyone's given up what the Niners want to get him. He's going to stay there, and they're going to be awesome. I think it's an all-in year in San Francisco.
I agree. Finally, the Vikings gave their star left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, a big bag, 4-year deal worth up to $113 million, $77 million guaranteed. Darrisaw had 2 years remaining on his rookie deal. He's now signed through 2029. And real quick, golf news. While Tiger Woods is fading into the mist rapidly, we're awaiting the official arrival of his son, Charlie. It looks like we, might be waiting at least a few more years. He shot a 10 over 80 yesterday at the U.S. Open Junior Amateur, so he missed the cut at 22 over.
Just like his dad.
Oh, that's not nice. That's not nice. That's a shot. That's a shot, Pete Bellotti.
It is.
All right.
I saw a picture of him crying, which kind of I felt bad for him. I guess Tiger was there and he wasn't wearing a sleeve on his leg, which was news. But
yeah, and that leg did not look good, dude.
No,
he'll be fine. Nothing to see here. All looks good. All right, thank you, Pat Boyle. We see you on the phone lines. 855-212-4227. What is the greatest college football stadium in the land? We want to hear from you. Next, Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
He's a man of many tastes, but he's got a debt, and it's not going to waste. Andrew Bogusch is waiting, he's been oh so kind for that well-seasoned steak. It's been on his mind. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well-seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. Andrew Bogusch's been patient, but he's starting to drool, thinking about that steak. Oh, it's making him cool. Peter Bellotti, don't delay. It's time to make amends. Cook up that steak, and they'll be the best of friends. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well, seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. A dash of salt, a pinch of pepper, garlic and herbs, oh it couldn't get better. Sizzle on the grill, make it medium rare. Peter Bellotti, show Andrew you care. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well, seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. So let's end this saga with a juicy bite. Andrew Bogusch and Peter Bellotti, friends under the night. With a steak well cooked, this story's complete. Peter Bellotti, your debt is now sweet. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew bake that steak. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. A dash of salt, a pinch of pepper, garlic and herbs, oh it couldn't get better. Sizzle on the grill, make it medium rare. Peter Bellotti, show Andrew you care. Peter Bellotti owes Andrew Bogusch a steak, oh yes he does. Well seasoned, juicy, with all the flavors he loves. It's time to fire up the grill, make no mistake. Peter Bellotti, it's time to bake that steak. So let's end this saga with a juicy bite. Andrew Bogusch and Peter Bellotti, friends under the night. With a steak well cooked, this story's complete. Peter Bellotti, your debt is now sweet. Peter Bellotti got a QB with a wild tale to tell. Speaks of pyramids and secrets where the old gods dwell. It's just giants, ancient and grand, that come the aliens with plans for the land. Oh, Peter Bellotti, hold on tight. Each game unveils a stranger sight. From ancient relics beneath the turf to cosmic plots that question Earth.
45 seconds remaining.
Rodgers whispers of a league on the moon, hiding craters under a starlit monsoon.
30 seconds remaining. Break ends. 5 seconds.
All right, we're debating the best college football stadium in the land, the Great Debate Wednesday. I went with the Big House, Michigan. Andrew Bogusch went with Army. Big Z went West Virginia. Pat Boyle went with LSU. And EJ Stewart went with the Rose Bowl. You can weigh in. Again, 855-212-4227. Let's go to Wes in Baltimore, who I think has a stadium that we mentioned and we all love. Wes, what do you got?
I got Boise State. I'm in Boise.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It said you were in Baltimore. Either way, tell us a little bit about the experience there. I mean, we all know the color of the field.
There's nothing like tailgating in Boise.
I want to go.
Like it. And then the game. Oh, my goodness. Rabid fans. Because it's our pro sport is Boise State Bronco football. And everybody turns out. And if they don't turn out, they got the radios going at the lake. Parties everywhere.
Oh, sounds like heaven. Bogusch, you've been to Boise. What have you been for a game?
Yeah, we went 3 Septembers ago now. Boise State, Oklahoma State. Could not have had better people, better hospitality. We got driven into the game on the top deck of a party bus.
Oh,
the food in the lot was great, and then a night game there. So it was a sunset in the mount. It was it's perfect. And then the blue turf, which is like that's what you go for. But the rest of it is just as unique and just as beautiful.
Yeah. By the way, Wes, you're in Boise, not Baltimore. I was going to ask you about the Ravens and why does Lamar keep missing practice, but I guess you have no insight on that.
No insight. I'm a Seahawk fan.
All right. Well, there you go. Thank you, Wes. You can weigh in, of course, with your favorite college football stadium, 855-212-4227. The chat, Infinity Sports Network YouTube page. A lot of people bring up Penn State. They're claiming I am interacting with the chat now that I'm a fake, that it's not really me in the chat. You can see on my screen, Andrew Bogusch.
Yeah.
I am really saying things here. It is the real me. You got the real Andrew Perloff in the chat. They do say, Maggie, of course, talks more about the chat. Now, I'm more of a sort of a creeper on the chat where I just read what people are saying because it's too often negative about me. I mean, let's face it, the chat gets a little mean.
Yeah, that's why I'm not in it.
Yes, they're very, very smart. They're more clever than we are. They're very, very funny.
That's the other part of it, too. I don't want to be made fun of directly or feel inferior by better jokes or takes or thoughts.
Yeah. Here's a comment on you from Christian Martin.
Oh, good.
Bogusch sounds exactly the way he looks. LOL.
Is that good or bad? I don't know.
I don't know. It's accurate, actually.
Do you want to hear what this dummy did yesterday, by the way? So I leave here.
Yeah.
And I get to Penn Station to get on my train here in Manhattan. And I'm thirsty. So I walk into a Dwayne Reed drugstore that's in Penn Station to get a drink. And I'm making a choice. Like I'm at the window of the cooler section a good 90 seconds. Do I want this? Do I want that? I make a choice. I open up the door. I grab like a bottle of vitamin water and it's warm. I go, it must be new. Let me grab something else. That one's warm too. Okay, I'm not using this cooler. Maybe this cooler's dead. Walk one to my right, open up that door, grab a bottle of seltzer. That's warm too. So now there's a full-on problem. As I turn, there's a woman, an employee walking towards me. And I go, ma'am, I'm sorry. Just want to let you know the coolers are down. And without breaking a stride, she goes, yeah, that's why those signs are up. And I turn back, and there's got to be 6 glass cooler cases. And in the middle of all of them, it says, sorry for the inconvenience, refrigeration out of order temporarily. I looked at 7 different drinks, and I didn't see the sign once. What is wrong with me?
Yeah. I don't know. I think
I'm scanning up and down. Do I want a vitamin water? Do I want a Powerade? Do I want water? A seltzer? Ooh, maybe a Coke Zero. I'm looking at all. I looked at multiple coolers, multiple signs, didn't see it, tried to be helpful, instead was told, you're an idiot.
Well, I know what's wrong with you.
What?
You wake up too early and you're coaching and driving to too much baseball and softball.
And I'm just completely mindlessly numb most of the time?
Yeah. I don't know how to say that in a nice way. Yes.
Yeah. No, I'll take it.
And I'm the same way. Peopleati is the same way.
Yes.
Zoo, I don't really know what you do in your free time.
Well, I don't have kids and I'm not married, so I enjoy my free time.
I sense a lot of video games.
He enjoys that free time. A lot of video games, a lot of Nick at Night, it sounds like.
Yeah.
A lot of Golden Girls at night, if you know what I mean.
Andrew Bogusch, your son Jake had a game yesterday. We haven't had a baseball update in a while.
Yeah, Jake played again last night.
Yeah.
The boys did not win.
Shocker.
But they played well. They just lost to a better team, which is another which was the post game message of it's okay. You guys it's all right to be bummed that you lost, but you just lost because a baseball game happened,
right?
And the other team was better. They hit doubles, we hit singles. They caught a ball in the outfield. We didn't catch a ball in the outfield. Their pitcher threw a little bit harder, so he struck out a few more batters. It was just a game. It wasn't a referendum on them as 10-year-olds or players or anything like that.
I have a question, and you were filling in as coach. Why with your son's Little League is there so much emotional turmoil? It feels like you don't just give the results. You're always just we had to talk this kid off the ledge and everyone was crying. And there's just a lot of emotion around this team.
Coach off the ledge.
This is a loaded question, and we only have about a minute to go before the break hits. So I will give you the long story short here is we take things a little too seriously on the adult side of the equation, and I think it's bleeding onto the kids here to a certain extent. And I, for one, would like to suggest a reorganization of the mental approach of things, but I don't know how much support I have just yet. But everything seems to be worst case scenario. And I'm like, guys, they're 10. They're gonna miss a ground ball. They're gonna misplay a fly ball. They're gonna strike out. But then the parents are complaining about the umpire too, or we're telling the kids you can't complain about the umpires. It's just it's a lot. It's a lot.
I have, of course, seen Jake's team. Just one suggestion: maybe focus less on the emotional side and more on when the center fielder calls for the ball. The left fielder should not run into said center fielder. It seems like a consistent problem.
The to-do list is long. We've got a big off season coming up soon.
Yeah.
Our last game is probably sometime next week, depending on if we can find our stride in the postseason. But otherwise, once we get past Labor Day, we're looking towards next season, and there's a lot of stuff to work on.
Now, I only played to a certain level. Another sort of X's and O's thing. Maybe when the ball is coming to you, open your eyes instead of closing them and hoping it goes to the glove.
Oh, see, eyes open, gloves closed. That's the new play.
Oh, man, I love
we see it go past us.
All right. More debate. Greatest college football stadium of all time. You can weigh in. Also, we're going to go a little against the grain with one of your favorite quarterbacks, of course, Aaron Rodgers. Next, Maggie and Perloff Show.
Down at the park on a Saturday morn, Andrew Bogusch was ready, his whistle was worn. Little League baseball, the kids in a line, but Bogusch was plotting some mischief this time. Oh, Andrew Bogusch, why you gotta be mean? Bullying the kids on the Little League team, stealing the snacks and the baseball dreams. Andrew Bogusch, that's just so extreme. He'd steal their mitts and hide their bats, make them do push-ups, wear funny hats. He'd laugh and cheer when they missed a catch, but little did he know they had a plan to hatch. Oh, Andrew Bogusch, why you gotta be mean? Bullying the kids on the Little League team, stealing the snacks and the baseball dreams. Andrew Bogusch, that's just so extreme. One sunny day,
3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back. Maggie and Perloff Show. Maggie is still off. We'll be back tomorrow. Andrew Bogish sitting in. Great debate Wednesday. The debate Best College Football Stadium. You can weigh in 855-212-4227. We had, of course, Army with Andrew Bogish. Pat Boyle went with LSU. Big Zoo went in West Virginia, his alma mater. I went with the Big House, Michigan, and E.J. Stewart went with the Rose Bowl. Love to hear from you, your favorite stadium. We just had a review of Andrew Bogish's Little League team. Not good. Not good. A work in progress. We're talking, the trade deadline's coming up. I don't know what you're allowed to do. But you guys need some big moves.
Yeah, well, again, our season is not as long as the MLB one. Our trade deadline was at the end of June, so that our roster's locked in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Training camps are reporting around the NFL. Aaron Rodgers showed up at Jets camp with a Egyptian T-shirt on. Pretty funny. I know a lot of people have issues with Aaron Rodgers. You have to admit that was a win. I like that. But that led me to an assignment for myself about Aaron Rodgers. And after looking around the internet, I decided it is time to go against the grain.
Against the grain.
Want to look around the internet quarterback rankings. It's list season, it's July, not a lot of live sports. So everybody was ranking the quarterbacks. Some really smart websites had Aaron Rodgers incredibly low. Warren Sharp Football Preview is one of my favorite analytics sites. It's awesome. They have the Jets as the 16th best quarterback situation in the NFL. Oof. CBSSports.com, a good buddy of mine, and I think maybe yours, Will Brinson, comes on the show, had him in Tier 4 next to Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, and Kyler Murray. Is intrigued with question marks. He had Will Levis and Aaron Rodgers in the same tier. Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network did a quarterback draft with Greg Rosenthal on their podcast. They had Aaron Rodgers 18th, right below Geno Smith. And by the way, and I could go on and on about this, Pro Football Focus, a famous analytics site, had him at 8. That was the only real top 10 that I saw. It is incredible how far people have Aaron Rodgers. Now, I get it. He's 40. He's coming off an Achilles tear. But I got to tell you, although there's not a lot of science on this age of coming off an Achilles tear, all the great quarterbacks have comebacks in them. I looked at history. To dismiss him because of this, bogus is crazy because we saw Peyton Manning come back from a much worse injury. We saw Dan Marino come back from the same injury. We saw Brett Favre have his elbow hanging on by a thread, and he came back at 40. And even though he wasn't hurt, Tom Brady was supposedly washed up, and he came back. This level of quarterback, they always have one more run in them, and I think Aaron Rodgers does.
Yeah, I mean, and it's making me think because all of these smart people who I like to read and follow, like, seem to be more worried about the Achilles than I am. So it's making me wonder if I need to get more in line with these guys because I just think he's going to be fine, and then he's going to be good, and they're going to be good. I don't get this. I don't share this same hesitation on Aaron Rodgers returning to a fairly high level quarterback.
Can I drop some high level economics on you?
Please.
There's a theory of economics called about noise. You ever heard of noise?
I think so.
Like boom noise. So basically, this is a highfalutin thing I heard on the podcast Hidden Brain from NPR.
Okay.
Yeah, Maggie would never let me do this. So I'm going to take this opportunity. Noise is an economic theory that hype and false information can cloud basically people who set prices on stocks. It can cloud their judgment.
Okay.
There's too much hype around a stock that the price gets all screwed up. That's what's happening around Aaron Rodgers. There's too much hype. There's too much non-football stuff being discussed, so people cannot evaluate this dude the right way. I get it. Like, it doesn't feel like he's a football player anymore. He's sort of a force of nature. Mm-hmm. There's so much going on with Aaron Rodgers that I think people have lost track of Aaron Rodgers, the football player.
Now, when he was number 92 in this ESPN Top 100 players of this current century, you thought there was a lot.
I thought that was actually that was straight that was biased. That was straight politics.
But you think is there any personal issues involved in these lists too?
No, I don't think that the people like Warren Sharp is very analytical. Will Brinson, I don't think he has a special problem with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it's the politics of Aaron Rodgers. I just think that there's so much crap going on around Aaron Rodgers. I think people have trouble imagining him as a football player. And I do think that's part of it. I don't think it's that they dislike Aaron Rodgers in any way. I think they are overestimating how important the distractions are because so many football players have distractions. There's so many guys with so much going on. We happen to know more about Aaron Rodgers. I feel like if he's healthy, things could more likely to go right than wrong.
Yeah, and maybe because people were worried about him staying healthy last year behind a shaky offensive line and being 39 years old, and then he does get hurt, it like confirms your suspicions, so you can't like get off of them. Now, I think I might feel differently if he got hurt last year because somebody ran him over and he like snapped his collarbone or something like that. Like, this is a freak injury. It's a significant one, but it happened because like he took a bad step on bad turf in New Jersey. Now that's his home field, so I guess that comes back into play again. But like, I don't know. I'm not afraid of him not being Aaron Rodgers this year. Of course, he could get hurt again. Someone could fall into his knee, whatever. But like, I think whether it's traditional medicine or some crazy stuff he's finding in random places, like he's going to be healthy enough to go out there and be better than most quarterbacks. I still think he's a top 10 quarterback in this league.
Yeah, I agree. So one of the issues you mentioned, the 4 plays last year with the Jets. Daniel Jeremiah, who's the best, one of the nicest guys. He's so smart. You watch him during the draft for NFL Network. There's probably not a better scout in the media, former NFL scout. He said, I think he was kind of joking, but he said, we saw 4 plays, and I don't like that Aaron Rodgers was holding on to the ball in the short game, meaning he was pressing. You cannot judge anything on 4 plays. I don't even want to. You just did it a little bit. I don't want to hear about last year. The other thing, too, is the Jets, their front office made mistakes, but they did try to address the front line. They signed 3 veterans, spent some good money, and they drafted Olufasinu at 10 for some depth. Feels like they did everything they could to shore up that front line. Now, receiver, they brought in Mike Williams from the Chargers. We'll see if he's healthy.
Right.
Just feels like there's a lot around Aaron Rodgers that could work. The other thing, the defense is awesome.
Sick.
Now, I know Hassan Reddick's holding out. If Hassan Reddick shows up, it's even sicker. But they are just loaded on defense, all 3 levels. I think there's a lot of reasons to think that Aaron Rodgers can be successful here. I know that if he's healthy, caveat, but guys are recovering quicker than ever. You know, Marino, it was 33. He came back from Achilles, and he was really good.
Yeah.
For 1 year. Didn't last a long time, but he had 1 good year. People don't remember. Do you remember Peyton Manning after Indy? He sat out a whole year. He got to Denver. Man, he could barely throw an out pass at first. And his arm loosened up. It's the brain. It's the 6 inches between the ears that makes a difference at this position.
So when Rodgers was on Pardon My Take this week, he said again that if the Jets were closer to playoff contention, he would have tried to play at the end of last year.
Yep.
Okay. So there's no way to know if that was true or not.
Mm-hmm.
But let's assume that it was at least possible that he got back on the field in December last year. How do we not then assume that he's going to be normal Aaron Rodgers physically right now in September in Week 1? I don't. The problem for the Jets, and here's my flirting with Pete. The problem with the Jets this year is not Aaron Rodgers. It's not the rest of the offense. It's not the defense. It's Nathaniel Hackett and Robert Saleh.
Yeah, but I'll give you one thing. At least he knows Nathaniel Hackett's offense. It's not like when Brett
Favre...
what
to ignore?
Brett Favre came here in 2009 and came in August.
Right.
August 7th, I believe, and had no idea the terminology of the offense and had to learn it on the fly. So at least there's continuity there, so that could help with Rodgers. I hear you. But he succeeded with Hackett before. He won an MVP.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about that.
The Jets are trying to replace Hackett this year, and I still can't forget the Broncos situation. So that is the Jets' issue. It's not Achilles, it's not ACL, it's not shoulders. It's the head coach and the guy running that offense.
What about Aaron Rodgers speaking up during the election cycle?
I'm sorry?
What about Aaron Rodgers? It's going to be November. It's a presidential election.
Yeah.
Are you worried about that at all?
Not to the extent that it's actually we said this the other day. I don't think he's gonna say anything that's gonna take him off the field. I don't think he's gonna say anything that would immediately ruin the clubhouse or the huddle. So I think that's more about me being. I don't want to be annoyed by anything else he says, and I don't want to have a conversation of why is ESPN letting him be on Pat McAfee, or what should Robert Saleh say about that? But I don't think it ends up affecting the actual football.
All right, we'll see. You can weigh in 855-212-4227 or go to the chat where I've convinced them that I am a live person in the chat, Infinity Sports Network YouTube page. A lot of fun there. We're also talking about the greatest college football stadium in the land. Some interesting choices. You can weigh in. Again, 855-212-4227. So we have a fun little side game here today. My mom buys me cheap sports gifts at Costco and gives me 2 or 3 every time I see her. We have a football trivia game here. Pete Bellotti. It's one little deck of games, a deck of questions. It's the funniest game. I don't know how they sold this for $3.99 to my mom.
There's a lot of moms out there.
Yeah. We have it now, and we got to do a couple questions before we go to break. Pete, hit me in bogus. We will hit the bell if we know the answer.
Okay, who won the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year in 1989?
1989 Offensive Rookie of the Year. Who won it? 1989. Oh, I got it. I got it.
Perloff.
Barry Sanders.
Correct.
Did you have it too, Bogus?
I thought Barry first, but then that felt too late for him.
Yeah. Okay, well.
So then I shifted to Troy Aikman.
I would have been good, too. Weren't they like 1-15? Okay, give us another one, Pete.
Okay, in what year was the first Super Bowl? Bogus.
67.
Correct.
Oh, boy. All right, we're finally catching up. We were 0 for coming to this. All right, give us another one, Pete.
Hang on. All right. Okay, in 2000, the Baltimore Ravens played 5 games in a row without doing what?
Scoring a touchdown offensively.
That's Perloff.
Tony
That's
Banks. That was the first ever Hard Knocks with Brian Billick. Super fun. All right, I'm sorry, just one more, Pete. Give us one more. Make it a tough one.
Okay. Oh, no, this is not tough. Hang on. Stand by.
All right, stand by.
Okay, here's one. Which 2 teams hold the record for the most Super Bowl losses?
That's easy.
Perloff.
In honor of Maggie Gray, team out of Western New York, the Buffalo Bills, and the Minnesota Vikings.
No.
Not the Minnesota Vikings, the Denver Broncos.
Bogus, would you like to take it?
Bills and Broncos. Who are the Bills and Broncos, Pete?
That would be no. That would be the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos.
What?
That's what the card says.
I was so confident.
The Pats have lost 4-2?
Yeah, because the Pats lost at 85.
I said 5.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
to the Bears,
they lost
to the Giants twice.
They lost to Brett Favre,
Eagles.
too.
And the Eagles.
And the Eagles.
Damn it.
Yeah, and that's so funny because we had a Bad Moon Rising question before, and I remember I won a bet because he scored a touchdown against the Patriots. Man, I was so cocky with that Bills answer. That goes to show you. Football trivia. Thank you, Pete Bellotti. All right.
You're welcome.
More debate about the best college football stadium in the land. And we have another.
Now I feel like, what's his name from Breaking Bad?
Who's that?
The guy in the wheelchair. Salamanca, who can only talk by bells on his wheelchair.
Love it.
Right.
All right, coming up.
Did you not watch Breaking Bad?
I did not. We'll get into that next. And we'll have a sitcom bracket update. We got a lot to do, including training camp news right here, Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. Having a great time today. We've had NFL trivia. Been debating the greatest college football stadium, debating college football mascots. We had a guest, Dan Lyons, on, who said the Stanford Tree is the second best mascot. But I think I got Andrew Bogusch offended a little bit there. I have never watched the entire run of the show Breaking Bad, even though someone in the chat points out we had Bryan Cranston on the DP show all the time, and he was awesome. He was one of the nicest guys, incredible actor, all-time actor. The fact that he could be the dad of Malcolm in the Middle and be Walter White on Breaking Bad. So I have to watch it, Bogues, or is this like, if I have time, give me the degree of urgency here?
I think you have to watch it, but I was just surprised that you hadn't watched it.
Because I'm a big prestige TV nerd.
And I just thought knowing your history and who you worked with and the people you're connected to and everything, I just assumed you would have seen it more than once by now.
Yeah,
you would have rewatched it after watching it to begin with.
I generally I like to be against the grain a little bit. If everybody loves a show, then I try to avoid it a little bit.
But is there another show that everybody loves that you have not watched?
Good point. What show? Everyone loved Game of Thrones. I loved Game of Thrones.
Sopranos?
The Sopranos is the best.
Right. Wire?
The Wire is amazing in every possible way.
So I don't know what have you not? That seems to be the outlier right now.
Taylor Swift? No, I'm just kidding.
No, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
What about Mad Men?
What's that?
What about Mad Men?
Love that Mad Men. That's EJ Stewart, who's at home. EJ, you think Breaking Bad's right up my alley, that I will enjoy it?
Yeah, I was equally with Bogusch stunned to know that you did not watch Breaking Bad. That is a show that is, I feel made for Andrew Perloff. Suburban dad turns into drug kingpin. I don't know. It just feels like something that you would really enjoy. I will say, this is something you should watch.
Not sure what you're saying there. EJ, I love playing the game. What shows or movies has EJ seen? So you have not seen Goodfellas and Godfather, or maybe you've seen one of them, but you don't do some of the classics. Have you seen Sopranos? The Wire, you mentioned Mad Men. For example, have you watched The Sopranos, which came out a little bit before your age?
Never watched The Sopranos.
Okay.
I was a little young when it was out. Doesn't mean obviously I couldn't have watched it.
You were too young. It was pretty adult.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a New York City public school kid. There were kids watching.
Yeah.
Sopranos when I was around. And Wire, the same thing. The Wire came out like right around the time I was probably a little too young to watch. I've seen episodes, but not the whole thing.
Oh, you've never gone back to The Wire? A lot of people, The Wire was not that popular when it was out. A lot of people go back to The Wire.
Yeah.
I am a massive Sopranos fan. And I know some people say it's totally dated. If I'm on a plane and Sopranos is there, 6 episodes down like that. But I would say, but I got to tell you, Game of Thrones was also huge for me. And I was early. First episode of Game of Thrones, first 5 minutes, they have this scene. I'm like, this is the greatest show ever. Never heard of the books, never heard of anything. Watched the whole series and read the books. But I don't do the new show, the House of Dragons, not for me.
Really?
It's a prequel. I'm not a big fan of prequel because you're sitting there watching it and you know what's going to happen. Maggie likes it. I have not really given it a fair shot yet.
I like it. I wouldn't say that you have to watch House of the Dragons.
Okay.
You're okay. Whatever. You don't want to watch that. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm someone who's a Game of Thrones fan who was completely turned off by the last season. So that has been the reason why I haven't jumped into House of Dragons. But I will say everyone who watched Game of Thrones that is now watching House of Dragons, similar to Bogus, keeps saying that it is really good.
How about
the last season of Game of Thrones is just too much scar tissue from how they finished that last season.
Yeah, I totally get that. How about the new Star Wars show? It's called Acolyte, I believe, on Disney. Has there ever been a more milked, played out thing than Star Wars TV shows? I mean, there's about been 4 too many.
But I liked them all, and this one apparently is so bad I didn't even bother watching it.
You've really liked them all. Like, you really think it was necessary to have Ewan McGregor come back as, I forget, he was Ben Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, yeah.
I mean, that show was weak, dude.
That was not
that
the
show
best
was
one.
weak.
I like the one, I can't think of the name.
The Mandalorian.
Mandalorian is
The
great.
Mandalorian
That's
is
number
great.
one. But
The Mandalorian's great, but then there's been 10 others.
Yeah, no, the one with
Boba Fett.
Ahsoka?
Boba Fett was good. Ashoka was good, and with the lady who's in the movie with Glenn Powell now, and the guy from another.
Sydney Sweeney?
No.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was a
on
slow
Netflix. The
It's called
Hitman.
like Andalorian or something. Not Mandalorian.
No, Andalore.
Andalore.
was good. A little
Andor.
slow, but it was good.
Andor, yeah. I know Cap.
Wait, what was
Cap
this show called?
Loves Andor.
Andor.
Not
Not Andalorian.
Cap,
Whatever.
Cap's been trying to get me to watch Andor for years now.
Yeah.
Andor was good
Loves it.
too.
Yeah. Speaking of, I have a T-shirt that says Dadalorian that my kids gave me for Father's Day. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I will wear it tomorrow. Big fan of The Mandalorian.
I did give you a new TV rec the other day.
Yeah.
But you said you don't have Apple TV Plus. But Presumed Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal is very good.
Oh, a remake of the Harrison Ford movie?
No, this is actually based on a book.
Right, which was one of the most famous books of all time.
I don't know the Harrison. All I see is based on a novel by blah blah blah.
Yeah. No, I think it's the same novel.
And I don't know the Harrison Ford movie. So don't say anything. 'Cause I don't want to know the ending. But the show is good.
Oh, there's a kids in the
While we're on TV shows, we got to figure out what's going to happen with this bracket.
Yeah, I was about to say we need an update on the bracket. So there was a tie in our greatest sitcom ever bracket between this. What was it again? What were the 2 shows?
So Married with Children and Friends was in a dead heat in our Sweet 16 of the Maggie Perloff sitcom bracket. They are, according to the X results, tied at 50-50. Now, X is listing Friends as the winner. So I don't know if like they're rounding up and they found a way that maybe somehow won, but there's an even number of votes on this poll.
Yeah.
So if it truly is 50-50, then it's even number. So why would Friends be picked the winner?
And it probably is highlighted because Friends is the higher seed.
No.
I don't think that would work like that.
I gotta tell you,
like X wouldn't know what the higher.
As you can
seed
see,
is.
I'm seeing real results here. I have different results than you guys.
Okay.
I'm seeing 50.2% when Friends, 49.8% when Married with Children.
Wow.
Can you see the actual vote totals?
I can see there were 404 votes. I cannot see the final results. We could have our tech guy go into that, but
So does that mean like 203, 201? Wait, but how you can't be off though. It has to.
it was probably 204 to 196.
I see 50-50.
Or 202 to
it's-
200.
Do you usually see percentage points on your
Oh,
polls?
so you know what? On your phone, you only see it's rounded up. So you're right. I went to x.com and you're right. Pearl. It says 50.2% for Friends.
Wow.
So Friends did win this legitimately.
Oh, come on.
But how many total votes?
404.
404 is the number. Yeah, 404
bogus,
votes, which is an even number.
So you guys were on your phone. I was wondering where you're seeing 50-50. Fair and square. Listen, are we getting into a political situation right now? Are you going to storm the control room on January 6th because of his Friends married with children vote?
What I don't understand mathematically is how you can be at 50.2% of an even number. You can't split a vote.
203, 201.
Yeah, no, you can. Just do
Zoo, are you doing the math there?
203, 201.
Yeah, I don't understand why you don't understand this, Bogus. That seems pretty simple.
I don't understand. Why don't you watch Breaking Bad?
Wait, so there's 404 votes, and you did the math in your head fast enough to realize?
No, I was doing it in my
50.2.
203 to
Okay,
201.
I got you.
Not 52 to 48, 50.2 to 49.8. It is as close as you get. All right.
All you have to do is just multiply 0.502 times 404 to get the number.
Pat Boyle, who's in for the updates, is
that's right. And I got a non-whole number. That's why I was confused.
Yeah. Well, they round up. Now, Pat Boyle is a math genius.
Yes.
We did a math contest once, and he blew me out of the water. 404 votes. It's 50.2% for Friends, 49.8% with Married with Children. Does that ring true to you, Pat Boyle, who is sort of the brilliant mind of the cast?
Are you asking me to do math? Or
do the math right now.
50.2% of 404.
Yes. How many votes?
It's got to be 203.
Zoo, can you confirm this?
I've been saying 203 for an hour and a half.
Because 50% is 202, and if it's 50.8%, it's got to only be one more number than that.
Yeah. Zoo, check the math.
He said
I'll put it into the algorithm here, and I'll have the IT.
It's got to be 203 to 201.
How does the guy that went to West Virginia school and drank through football games for 4 years, how is he the best math person in the room right now?
Numbers.
Shame on the rest of
us.
Wait,
which one are we talking about?
Numbers, baby.
Yeah. No, Pat is like legitimately like one of those nerdy 8-year-olds who's in college classes. He's ridiculous about that. I've seen it in real time. But that being said, you are in the sports industry and you will rarely apply this math, except I guess batting averages.
Yeah, but you went to Dartmouth.
Yes, I was an English major.
And you know what half of 404 is?
202.
There you go.
Well,
so if it's not even 51%, it's got to be one more vote than that.
What if there was 1,400 votes and it could have been more wider variance?
It was 50.8%?
Yeah.
Then it was probably 4 or 5 votes, or maybe 6, 7 votes at the most.
Can we do some sports updates? Can we? And with no math. I don't want to hear anything about war, no analytics. Just give me the straight outcomes.
You got it. So Paul's...
Don't say any scores either.
Yeah,
just go through.
No numbers at all. Just who
Don't
won.
give me. If you give me a pitch count, am I going to get mad?
Here are your winners.
I won't mention Paul Skeens, one of the many Cy Young candidates who was on the mound last night. Took his first loss of his big league career, even though he worked into the 9th inning, gave up a go-ahead single to Alec Burleson, which broke a 1-1 tie. Cardinals beat the Pirates 2-1. Skeens 8 1/3 innings, just those 2 earned runs, but he takes the loss. Your guy, Zach Wheeler. 7 shutout innings. He also did not get the win because the Phillies left it late to score all 3 runs in the top of the 9th. They shut out the Twins 3-0. Your Phils now 64-37.
Where was Zach Wheeler before? I can't remember. We got him from another team, didn't we?
I think you did.
Pete Bellotti?
I think it rhymes with the Jets.
All right. Love seeing a former medic sell for Phillies. Okay.
We have another question.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Why are we still here? Why are we listening to this Phillies nonsense?
Pete Bellotti is going to interrupt the sports update with a football trivia question. Pat Boyle, feel free to weigh in.
Setting a record, what did the 1938 Chicago Bears do 56 times in a season?
Oh, they had. Everyone knows that. 1938 Chicago Bears.
You got to ring the bell.
They had 58 safeties in one season. It was the craziest thing.
That's wrong.
Ding. Can I go?
Yes.
Yeah.
EJ.
56 sacks in the season?
No, that's
For
wrong.
the 85 Bears?
Nope.
Oh.
No,
Wait,
38 Bears.
38 Bears.
1938 Bears.
Oh.
I'm gonna say they.
Bears.
I'm gonna say they fumbled 56 or 58 times.
And Pat would be correct.
Wow. I'm killing this.
Wow.
Back to you.
What was the one I got a couple hours ago? Oh, the Steelers were the first to have cheerleaders.
On the logo, too.
Because there ain't much else to look at in Pittsburgh.
Oh, stop, Pat. That is not true.
I've been
That
there.
is not true.
That bridge is awesome.
Well, I meant in terms of the female population.
You better get another sports update.
Diner,
you better
too.
do it fast, Pat Boyle.
Yes, everybody's favorite sports gambler, Shohei Ohtani, delivered last night.
Ohtani pulls it to right field. It is going to hook down and bounce off the warning track. One hop off the cage in front of the Giant bullpen. Hayward scores. The relay home. Not in time. Biggio safe. Puts 2 more on the board. A 2-run double for Shohei Ohtani.
Dodgers radio
before the libel suit is
Cha-ching.
filed, the takes and opinions of Pat Boyle are not necessarily the takes and opinions of the Maggie Perloff show or anybody else involved.
Who says that's libel?
Thank you for that disclaimer.
Yeah, you called him
Said
the
everybody's
most
favorite
famous
sports,
gambler.
Everybody's favorite sports gambler.
You have no proof of that.
Come on.
Self-proclaimed.
No?
Come on.
Wow.
No.
This is
We're
sports
opening it up
radio.
there.
You can basically say whatever you want.
No, there are rules, Pat. There are rules.
All right, well, that was part of it. Can I...
By the way, I totally disagree with this because if he was actually doing it, he's not the greatest sports gambler. He was terrible at it, or his interpreter was terrible at
worst
it.
sports
I
gambler.
didn't say the greatest. I said
So-
everybody's favorite sports
Yes,
gambler.
he could have been the
Yes,
worst.
if it was him and not Misei Upuhara, his translator, yes.
I don't think it was
They were
him.
both terrible.
I think the proof is in the pudding. You're telling me that he was actually at the center of the scandal and he put it right behind him and is the best player in baseball? Like, you don't think that would have affected him at some point if he really did all this and his guy was covering up for him?
I don't know, dude. I
mean,
mean,
he's
the
not
guy's like the
superhuman.
greatest baseball player we've ever seen.
I don't know. I maybe I'm naive. I tend to think Shohei did not know what was going on. Maggie's on your team, Pat. She thinks that that's impossible.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Part of a 3 RBI night for Shohei. Dodgers beat the Giants 5-2. That is now 5 straight wins for the Dodgers. NFL training camp news. We've hit on the big stuff. CeeDee Lamb not expected to report to camp today for the Cowboys. Brandon Aiyuk has reported, but again requested a trade last week. John Lynch said no absolutes, but they continue to say they want him to be part of the team for a long, long time. Vikings left tackle Christian Darrisaw, big 4-year contract extension for $113 million. Trying to think of the other big ones.
That are left to sign or that have recently
No,
happened?
that we've hit on so far.
NFL?
I kind of my script is a little messed up here.
It was all that math in the beginning. That means it's time for another football trivia question.
All right, let's go. Hey, what do you say now? All right, here's a question. What will a referee do if he or she spots another penalty but has already thrown their yellow flag? Andrew Bogus.
Throw their hat.
That is correct.
That was an easy
I was going to say panic. Call
Wait,
Dean,
on the spot.
Call Dean Blandino on your cell phone and say, Dino, what happened?
Dino.
All right, give us another one.
All right, who has the nickname Diesel? Perloff.
Vin.
Shaq.
Those are both wrong.
It's a football player, isn't it?
Yeah, correct.
I was going to say the new Giants running back.
No,
that's Motor.
Singletary's Motor, though.
Yeah.
Diesel. Who's the Diesel?
Barry Sanders.
Christian Okoye.
Well, you're all
Your
very.
sister.
It's got to be a running back.
You're all very wrong. It's John Riggins.
Oh, John Riggins was. I
you
should
got
know.
that.
We should have known.
Used to
that.
work with him. That dude's crazy.
He's
You used to
awesome.
work with John
I used to do
Riggins?
some stuff with John Riggins too. Awesome.
Awesome. But,
What a character.
but yes.
That dude, like modern players think that they have controversy and cool things. John Riggins puts Aaron Rodgers to shame. And even now, John Riggins does some media and he disappears for 4 weeks at a time to go to the Outback in Alaska.
Yeah, he's just gone.
The coolest dude of all time. Want to give us one more, Pete?
Yes. How many teams?
4, 2, 13.
You're actually wrong. How many teams played in a brand new stadium for the 2020 season? Perloff.
I don't know why I dinged right there. God, I have no idea. I'll say 2.
Wrong.
Trick question. 0.
Wrong.
Ding.
EJ.
3.
Yes. Name
There
the
you go.
teams.
Rams. What's the other? Chargers and Raiders. Right.
There you go.
There you go. Nice.
All right, on the board.
Speaking of
job.
the Rams, here's a good segue for you because I had the other story that I wanted to re-hit on. Matthew Stafford got his contract reworked, adjusted, if you will, not extension, but they basically dispersed some of his guaranteed money into the final 3 years of his contract. He only had $15 million guaranteed next year and nothing guaranteed in 2026. So you got that. And
By the way, there's a lot of expectations coming on those Rams.
Yeah.
I feel like they're a buzz team right now. I know they did good at the end of last year. I just worry, like, Aaron Donald's not there.
Yeah, but
do people realize that?
What are the expectations? Make the playoffs? Because they're certainly not expected to have a better season than the Niners. They're not expected to get to the NFC Championship game or get to the Super Bowl, obviously.
There are some dark horse experts who think the Rams could come out of the NFC. That definitely has been said.
The whole conference?
Yeah, I mean, there are people who think that they've done it before.
But if you ask, like, anybody that's not picking them as a dark horse, like anybody that's not biased, that's just neutral, what is a good season for the Rams? Make the playoffs and maybe win a playoff game.
You have a Super Bowl winning coach. You have a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I mean, what's the difference if they make the playoffs? I think there are some people who have higher expectations. And they've drafted really well on defense, so a lot of that has to come together. And also, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, is that the best receiver duo? I mean, you got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. But I think that's up there.
Yeah, but if they get to the divisional round and they play the Niners and they lose by 10, like that's a good season.
That feels kind of weak. Well, what's the point? Why are they restructuring Matthew Stafford to keep him around?
Oh, because who else are they going to go to at quarterback?
Well, you have Sean McVay.
Besides Stafford and Kupp, they have a young team. So in theory, like you're trying to hopefully maybe keep this young core together and they continue to develop. And then maybe next year, I feel like they're a year away.
Yeah, I mean, but Stafford's 36. So
right.
I hear you. If I'm the football god, I send Matthew Stafford to Dallas to see what he could do with that team.
I'm trying to think, is Donald the single biggest loss exit of any team from last season?
Well, do you mean the guys who've retired or guys who've left from free agency?
I think either way.
I think Zach Wilson leaving the Jets is a huge loss.
Sure.
Yes.
Biggest loss. Well, Kirk Cousins leaving
lost at
Minnesota.
the PTA meetings.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins leaving Minnesota. That changes a lot there.
But he's not Aaron Donald. More important position, but...
No, obviously Justin Fields leaving Chicago is not that big. Saquon leaving the Giants, running back, doesn't matter. You could go Christian Wilkins leaving Miami. I'm just trying to think of the free agent signings. Yeah, I mean, the unusual thing about Aaron Donald was he's a retirement age, but he was still completely dominant.
Right.
So that's a tough one to me. It's funny you say that, Pat. I'm curious. It's coming up on training camp. You're going to see some Super Bowl picks, and there's going to be some Rams. And you're going to shake your head at that. You don't think there's any chance?
No, I don't think they're as good as the Packers. I don't think they're as good as the Cowboys. I don't think they're as good as the Niners. I mean, they're the second best team in their own division, and they're not as good as the Lions. They're the fifth best team, I think, almost definitively in the NFC.
Cut that come February.
Okay.
When Sean McVay's back in the Super Bowl, we will remind you of that.
I've got 3 stories left. We might only have time for one. Do you want to
Pick one.
Do you want to hear about Diamador Lenore and a smoke detector that he has not shut off in over a year?
What are my other options?
Do you want to hear about Chauncey Billups ripping a player on his team for posting a highlight when they were down 18 at the half?
Okay.
Or Olympic-themed condoms?
See.
All right, go see.
Yeah, so, I mean, I haven't read too far into this article, but basically the headline is that the Olympic athletes, upon arriving to the Paris Olympic Village, they have been supplied with the organizers over 300,000 combined condoms are waiting for them in their rooms, if you will.
As Zeus stands up and thumbs his fist.
Not 300,000 condoms per athlete. 300,000 condoms in total has been dispersed throughout the Paris Olympic Village for the athletes upon arrival.
Safety first, always for Zoo.
Yeah, things can get dirty out there in Paris, you know?
That's always been a thing where Olympic athletes like to hook up and stuff.
Nursing homes have legit STD issues too, so you got to be careful.
Yeah,
nursing homes,
definitely.
Like, could you imagine? Could you imagine being 80 years old, going into a nursing home, and then like your cause of death is like gonorrhea?
Chlamydia.
Absolutely, that's a thing. They figure, why not? Go for it. Yeah, I totally get that.
You survived World War II, but the chlamydia.
But Jenny over in
Sunnyside
room
Village
4
got
me.
I got to be honest, not many better ways to go out.
Oh, my God.
You got to go. You got to go.
That's an STD at 85 years old is crazy.
No,
that
totally is what happened. Listen, there's drug enhancements that help you out there. I think it's fun. Why not?
Yeah, you survived D-Day. You stormed Normandy just fine, but you
couldn't
storm
But Millie down the hall got you.
Good job by the IOC. Really good job by the IOC.
This is like a common thing, though. They do this a lot.
At the Olympics or at the old folks home?
There's no condom distribution at the old folks home, which I think is something we need to go and start making our thing.
Like our cause?
Yeah.
The Zoo Foundation.
The Zoo Foundation. Stopping sexually transmitted infectious deaths at nursing homes. Can I just say one thing, the quiet part out loud? You're 80 years old. It's probably tough enough to perform as is. You put a condom on, there is no chance of it happening.
Okay. We've already been towing the line all so long.
Was that the elephant in the room?
We're not going to get it. We're not going to get into that.
That had to be said.
We're not going to get into that.
What do you mean that had to be? Of course.
Usually everyone's thinking about the thing that you go, let me address the elephant in the room. No one else was thinking about that.
Nobody was thinking about that? You would put
I won't say
condoms
nobody.
on Grammy and Grandpa? That ain't going to work.
I won't say nobody. I did have a question about that. I did.
I refuse. No, we're not doing this. If you want to talk about the breakdancers needing condoms, I'm down with that. Young people at the Olympics enjoying
every
themselves.
Olympics has this story because this is always a thing. They're always supplying these to Olympians in the village. This is every games. There's this story.
But if I'm an Olympian, and I'm at the Olympics with all the other best athletes in the world, I might be trying to have an elite athlete child. You know what I mean? I might take that condom, throw it off in the woods.
It's evolution.
And don't forget, you've either got time before your event or you've got a week after your event where you're just hanging out.
Like, could you imagine if you're like like one of the crossbow people? Like these people, it's 1 day competition and then you're posted for 2 weeks? Like, let's go.
A lot of these people are super nerds, though. These are Olympic athletes. It's not like the cool athletes are there.
That's true. LeBron is there.
These are not like basketball, football, baseball players.
They probably run it.
Talk about
they're married, Zoo.
Zoo's talking
Not
about
all of them.
I love how Zoo goes the crossbow people. We're talking about we're giving skeet shooting a whole new meaning.
Is there crossbow
fitness people?
Is there
There's definitely some kind of archery. I don't know if it's called a crossbow.
There's definitely archery.
Crossbow. We had a Game of Thrones conversation early. I don't think there's a crossbow competition. The guys ski around and fire a crossbow.
All those archers are in need for it.
All right, we got to take a break before we get in even more trouble.
One of the pictures, by the way, Pearl, just to wrap it up, no pun intended. One of the pictures I see says, "No need to be a gold medalist to wear one."
There you go.
All right. That's what we'll put up right in the old folks' home.
When does the Olympics end again?
Hasn't started yet, Pete. All right, we're going to wrap it up. A little more college football talk. One team looks unbeatable. Are they? That's next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We got to wrap it up here on the Maggie Perloff Show with some hardcore sports. I have a new bandwagon, Bogus. You may or may not know I love to jump on bandwagons.
That's news to me.
The little team in Columbus, Ohio, called the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ooh, is that new? Are they an expansion team?
Yeah, they're a little program. They've been, they've had a year here or there, but I think this Cinderella, not Ohio, Ohio State. I think this Cinderella is going to be awesome this year. It's Big Ten Media Days. Ryan Day spoke about the team's expectations.
Very, very excited about our guys. We have great experience in that locker room and some great talent, but it's going to take more than talent. It's going to take all the no talent issues to get to where we want to be and reach our goals.
Okay, I have no idea what that means. Not even the slightest clue. But I do love the talent because last year, out of nowhere, their defense was awesome. They have Jack Sawyer and JTT rushing quarterback. They have a receiver, a kid named Jeremiah Smith, who they're saying is better than Marvin Harrison, an incoming freshman. Yeah, that's not bad. And they have another receiver named Carnell Tate, who was did you ever see the documentary about the made-up football team?
I did not, actually.
Bishop Sycamore. This guy, Carnell Tate, scored 6 touchdowns against them at IMG Academy. He's amazing.
Them.
And they have Emeka Egbuka, who's probably, I think, arguably the best returning wide receiver. A new quarterback, Will Howard. They are stacked. And Ryan Day gets a lot of pressure. I think he's still a good coach. This team is ridiculous. And they have another super recruit, Julian Sayin, the quarterback who was at Alabama, who left. There's just a lot of talent there. I think the new Big Ten, obviously Ohio State with 12 teams, is probably going to make the playoff. I think this could be the year that Ryan Day breaks through.
Did you mention the Ole Miss running back?
Oh,
Judkins,
yeah. I'm not a super fan, I got to be honest, because I'm a big Ole Miss fan. And if you look at his yards per carry, he's not quite, especially towards the end of last season, wasn't quite as explosive as you might think. But Travion Henderson's back too, so the two of them are going to be ridiculous. You know, Judkins could be really great there. Good offensive line. I mean, this is stacked, right?
Is their NIL budget 9 figures yet?
I don't know.
It's crazy.
Huge. It is huge. I mean, they have a tough schedule. I think they host Oregon, and it's going to be interesting. They have Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator, so that'll be fun. It's going to be, to me, that's one of the teams to watch. Yeah, obviously, Georgia is crazy too.
And I'm glad you mentioned the Chip Kelly thing, because that's why I have to read every possible preview because I forget things very easily. And I read again yesterday, Chip Kelly's running their offense. I'm like, you don't say. Like that. Had you asked me that 36 hours ago, I would have no answer for you. Like, just that completely didn't stick in my brain.
Yeah, I don't really know what that means either, because Chip Kelly that we know from Oregon wasn't really the same Chip Kelly at the Philadelphia Eagles or UCLA Bruins. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to claim Ohio State. That really is, I'm kind of kidding. It's very obviously a powerhouse this year. Okay. We're getting very dramatic in the greatest sitcom bracket ever. We're trying to determine the greatest sitcom. We had a lot of controversy. Married with Children lost. People, I know you're upset about that, to
Ridiculous.
Friends. But we're in the final four today. We got Seinfeld versus I Love Lucy. I got to tell you right now, if you're an I Love Lucy fan, you better vote fast, because that is not close. But we have a real battle that's going to go on all night. The Office is at 53%. The Simpsons at 47%.
Do that math.
Can the Simpsons get knocked out by The Office?
They better. They should.
Really?
Yes. Who said it late last week? Maybe Joe Flint, that The Simpsons has been on for too long.
So what? The
Office
first
might have
10
been on for
years of
too long
Simpsons.
too. But I don't know. Maybe this is recency bias. I've watched more Office than Simpsons. I just think The Office is a little bit better. There's no wrong answer with this one. This could be a final.
They're both so good. That's what happens when you get a 1 and a 2. It could be a final. I don't think The Office was going to be a number 1 seed, but it is great. It's a shame someone has to lose. So you can go vote at Maggie and Pearl. Sad news, Andrew Bogus. The Andrew and Andrew team is going to be broken up tomorrow. I think it was a pretty good 4-day run we had there.
I had a good time. This was my last chance to become your friend. I don't know how you feel about us at the moment, but I did my best. We chit-chatted during breaks.
Yeah, you gave me a cord for my phone.
Right, exactly.
I want
TV recommendations.
I want to squeeze in one more trivia question. We're doing football trivia. People, go.
As of 2021, which NCAA team has the most football national championships?
I thought it was NFL.
Alabama.
Alabama.
No. Bogus.
No, as of 2021, that's the key thing there. So who did Alabama pass? Notre Dame.
No.
USC.
No. Yale.
Leave us alone.
All right. Thanks, Big Zoo, Pete Bellotti, Pat Boyle, Andrew Bogish. Maggie Gray back tomorrow. Please join us.
You're in a 5-minute break.